Ooh, good thing I'm muted. Oh man, that was a loud one. Okay. Oh, I had such a good nap today. Is that Ellie? It is Ellie. Okay, she stopped. $75 EXP, let's go. I know. Don't. This one's only gonna be like an hour long. This one's only gonna be like an hour. Yo, man, me and my girlfriend, we fell asleep, man. We took a 2-hour nap. Random ass stream. Yo, man, I should have been live 2 hours ago, but me and my girl, we fell asleep for fucking 2 hours in the middle of the day, my guys. Oh my god. I was like, that's 2 hours of reading time down the drain. So we're gonna read like an hour. Okay, that's good. Woo! Yeah, don't worry. We're only gonna read a little bit. My goal is to read as much as I can before bedtime. Before my bedtime. And then tomorrow we're gonna fucking finish this bitch. Okay? Tomorrow we are finishing volume 4. Okay. Wow. Look at this bad boy. Wow. Look at that. Damn. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. This is fucking thick, dude. Look at this. Look at this. The one thing I noticed though, the paper quality is a lot different. The paper quality is a lot different. I feel like they cheaped on the paper. No, I might be tripping out. No, I'm not. No, I'm tripping out. I thought it was the thin paper. No, it's not the thin paper. Because the one thing I've noticed, whenever whenever you're faced with a really big book, companies usually use thin paper to kind of get away with it. That way, it brings down production costs. But this one is pretty good. Oh, it still smells brand new. Because the end of Volume 4 is so hype, it's better to let people know in advance exactly when you will stream the end so they can be there. Okay. I think then tomorrow we can read until 9:20, maybe a little bit more. Oh, man. Okay. All right. No, I think we're just going to power through it tomorrow. I think that's the goal. 9:12 is a good ending spot, but IDKV can get there in an hour. I mean, I might be able to go a little bit more than an hour. We'll see. Shit, we'll find out. Wow, look at this, though. That is crazy. Look at that. That is wild. Look at Omniscient Reader and look at fucking Lord of the Mysteries, bro. Damn. That is fucking crazy. Don't go past 9:12, though. All right. If I read until 9:12, that means tomorrow I need to read 31 chapters. I think we can do it. Right? 30 chapters and I finish tomorrow? Oh, wow, I burped. I'm sorry. So I can read 9:12, but don't... so I can read 9:12, but I can't read 9:13. That's like another 6-7 hour stream. We can do a 6-7 hour stream tomorrow. Fuck yeah, we can do one tomorrow. Don't try to end tomorrow. The content is so hype. You will make stop to digest. I think it'll be better if we just like pull the band-aid. Don't try to end tomorrow. The content is so hype. You will make stop to digest. Shit. You will need to stop so I can digest it. I think it'll be fun, though, if it's on stream. Well, let's see if we can get to 912. There is a big hype miniature arc, another arc, and then hype ending. So the next arc starts from 913, I assume, to like 920, 920-ish, because people said that was another good stop point. And then from 920 to 943 is the next big arc. So this is like the third to last arc, and then, yes, okay. So this is the third to last arc, and then the next arc is 13 to 20. Nah, you know what? I think it'll be a 2-part stream tomorrow. Look, I'm free all day tomorrow. I'm free all day tomorrow. My girl's going out. She's having her little ladies night. So I can just stream all day. I can stream all day. I already got my food ready for tomorrow. All I gotta do is pop that bitch in the microwave and we're good. I think we can do it. We can do it. We can do it. One godly mini arc, some content, the ending, and then the hype ending. I think we can do it. All right, D, I think we might be able to do it. All right, I think we might be able to do it. Let's see how long it takes us to get to 913, and then we'll think about it. We'll think about it. All right, let's do this. All right, we're just gonna start recording after we came in and we came to consensus. All tomorrow. Sorry, I got ad. Oh no, it's okay, love. Oh shit, you got an ad. My bad. I'm sorry. I think the plan might be to finish Lord of the Mysteries tomorrow, or by the time I'm done uploading this video, basically day of. Less than 12 hours. That might be the plan. That might be the plan, knock on wood, but we might be able to pull it off tomorrow. I'm free all day. Mrs. is going to be out, so we can just read all day. You will not regret giving a stream to the mini arc, and you will be high for the whole stream. Shit, man. Well, the thing is, I might not even want to stop, depending on how good it is. Well, let's find out. Let's read, and let's see just how hype it gets, and then we'll come to an agreement. So before I forget, honorific name. The reader who stalls for eternity, the tamer of beasts and dogs. Though I forgot my own honorific. The one who farms LOTM, Easy Geeky, is here today. Now, before we read, look at this bad boy. It's so good, dude. Look how big this boy is, dude. Look at this. I got Omniscient Reader here and LOTM. Lord of Mysteries, my bad. Dunkwa, and the web novel. Or the Yen Press edition is literally Lord of Mysteries. Wow. Bro, collecting this is going to be crazy. This is only a third, bro. This literally goes up until episode 3 of the Dunkwa. That is crazy. That is crazy. All that in the palm of my hand. Look at that. Look at this. Oh, my. You know what I used to do, man, when I was a kid back in the good old day, during the Xbox 360 era? Every time I'd buy a new video game, I'd be like, I'd smell the plastic. I can't be the only one that did that shit, man. But look at that, dude. That is crazy. I got 2 web novels in the palm of my hand. I never thought I'd be collecting web novels. I've collected some light novels right here, but I've never connected web novels. That's a first for me. All right. Chapter 905, Psychological Blind Spot. Time step, and let's read. All right, I'm gonna keep it nice and slow today. We're gonna keep it nice and slow. Nice and slow. That is the goal. Nice and slow. Based? Yeah, man. Damn, it's good. All right, timestamp. Yeah, dude. Wow. Me and my girl, we fell asleep for fucking 2 hours, bro. I woke up. I was like, the fuck? What time? It's 7 p.m. What are we doing asleep on a Wednesday evening? We fell asleep at fucking 5 o'clock, and we woke up at 7. I'm like, what are we doing asleep in the middle of the day? I'm like, what is going on? We should be going out. We should be doing something, and we just knocked out. It was so fucking funny. I woke up, as like, I'm gonna go live for a bit, dude. And then I went out. I want to go buy some drinks. I got me a Dr. Pepper, and I have a look. I'm so prepared. I bought me a Monster for tomorrow. I have a Monster. Easy needed his power nap. I definitely needed a power nap. You see how like I'm so different from like from earlier stream? Holy shit, man. I think I did just need to sleep in a little bit more. But chapter 905 is called Psychological Blind Spot. Based on his experience from watching many detectives' animations, Klein believed that someone who wore a scarf and concealed his face and hid his physical characteristics with an overcoat was likely problematic. He hid an unspeakable secret, especially when it was in winter, yet and the temperature in the Berserk Sea couldn't be considered cold. However, this had nothing to do with me. Even if a locked room murder mystery happens, the one having very mysterious, the one having a headache would be the captain. I should head above the Grey Fog for later, do divination, and see if this trap will be smooth. Klein did it. Klein's mind... Wait, hold up. I need to raise my mic a little bit. I need to raise my mic. Never. No. We're going to power through tomorrow. After having dinner, he returned to his cabin and completed divination above the Grey Fog. He obtained the conclusion that there wouldn't be a drastic change to the environment he was in, that everything would have happened smoothly. This allowed Klein to fall asleep peacefully without relying on cognition as he slept till daybreak. With a whistle from the steam engine, the liner began moving and departing Hallman Harbor. The harbor could still vaguely be seen as Klein saw a figure there. This figure wore a white shirt and a dark blue coat. He had a rather high horse, deeply recessed eyes, light blue eyes, and brown curly hair. His face was rather cut and his chin was slightly raised. He gave off a supercilious... I can't read this word. No, you're fine. You're muted now. What did you do? No, we're good. He gave off a supercilious look. With a sweep of his gaze, he quickly locked onto the liner with Klein was on. At this moment, the sky suddenly darkened as though a door leading into the pitch-black lands of illusion had formed. A deafening typhoon stirred up from the seabed, surging upwards with massive amounts of blue mass. Dark lightning flashed like rifts in the void. They kept appearing and kept healing themselves until they disappeared. This completely blocked his vision of those of the liner at the harbor, putting them in two seemingly different worlds. The Berserk Sea had once again shown its horror. The liner failed to avoid or resist, and it could only continue cursing forward along the safe sea route that relatively weaker storms. What a coincidence. This likely isn't a coincidence. Standing behind the window of his cabin, Klein first sighed inwardly before coming to a conclusion that the sudden anomaly in the Berserk Sea was due to unnatural reasons. Did I lose my place? No. Although it was common for the weather in the Berserk Sea to change suddenly without notice, to actually change a particular point in time still left one suspicious. The man at the dock is tracking the suspicion tourist from last night, and that tourist decided to change the weather upon realizing that he had been exposing, doing so that he can force the liner to leave. Klein made a guess when he made the connection. Why am I saying after? Wow. By the way, you read daily on the airship, you understand why Dally X Klein's ship is the worst? Oh shit, I know, dude. We're almost at 3,500 subs. Hopefully we hit that when we finish volume 4. But yeah, dude, yeah, that ship was definitely not gonna sail the boat. Yeah, no pun intended. Definitely was gonna sail the ship. Oh man. Although it was common, I just read this part. The man of the dark is tracking the suspicious tourist from last night, and that tourist decided to change the weather upon realizing that he had been exposed, doing so that he can force the liner to leave. Klein made a guess. Wow, I feel like I'm still half asleep. Klein made a guess when he made the connection, and if that really were the case, it means that the suspicious passenger who hid his face with a scarf might very well be a demigod or someone who carries a grade 1 sealed artifact. Amon? After all, with Klein's present strength and items, it was impossible for him to trigger such a weather anomaly without the use of the Sea God Scepter. Of course, he also had other means like throwing out a Zig's copper whistle to see if he could cause the entire Berserk Sea to go berserk. Seriously, I just want to be a normal tycoon that's heading to the southern continent. Why would I encounter the pursuit at the level of demigods? So I'm under too much stress that my sequence doesn't deserve. Klein gave a self-deprecating laugh and finally chose to believe the divination he made last night. Amidst the storms, the wobbling liner cruised along a rather calm stretching with apocalyptic scenes around it, and most of the tourists wore calm looks as though they were very accustomed to such conditions. Only a few people who were on their first trip across the Berserk Sea were trembling, grabbing tightly to anything they could grab at. Time ticked by as the gales and the lightning gradually calmed down. Bit by bit, the sky brightened, and at that moment, Klein, who was on the deck, felt his spiritual perception trigger. He subconsciously looked in the direction of the Hallam Harbor. Above the undiluting dark blue waves, beneath white scattered clouds, there was a white radiant flame flying over at high speeds from afar. The flame increased in size and became increasingly clear until it revealed its complete form. It was a gigantic flaming sphere. Okay.
The flames increased in size and became increasingly clear until they revealed a complete form. It was a gigantic flaming sphere. The flaming sphere tore across the sky and landed at the bow on the liner's deck. However, it didn't ignite anything. It burned through half a wooden plank and spread out before materializing into a figure. The figure had a high nose, deeply recessed eyes, and blue eyes. He was none other than the man who had previously appeared at the dock. He looked middle-aged as he slowly surveyed the area and walked through the wide eyes that gaped to tourists before walking into the cabin. The similarly agaped Dwayne Dantes suddenly heaved a sigh of relief when he confirmed that the person wasn't here for him. The way he appeared sure is cool, as expected of demigod. Now the only issue is that they do not come to blows. Even if the conflict cannot be helped, it's best to go to a neighboring sea to fight, otherwise there's no way this ship can withstand it. I can teleport away quite successfully, but all these tourists, I'll only be able to save a few. Klein habitually drew the signs of the crimson moon on his chest, praying for the goddess to bless them. Just as he had such a thought, he saw a figure fly over the cabin, sliming heavily onto the deck. It was none other than the suspicious tourist who had covered his face with a scarf. Time had already revealed half of his face. The tip of his nose was red, and he had a thick beard, and his mouth was saliva staining them. You know what? His nearly triangular eyes were filled with horror. He held his hands to the deck as he kept crawling backwards. Who got you to carry the items and put on such a disguise? At the cabin's entrance, the middle-aged man with a high nose and blue eyes slowly walked out. He spoke in intones with a heavy voice. The suspicious tourist shook his head frantically. No, I don't know. He was also wearing the same. He gave me 100 pounds to take the ship to the southern continent before returning by myself. The middle-aged man suddenly watched with his penetrating glare that seemed to tear through his soul. This made the tourist break out into a sweat as his body convulsed. He once again stammered his explanation, but there weren't any changes to it. The man retracted his gaze before his body burst into the white radiant flames. Following that, he transformed into a gigantic flaming sphere and shot towards the region where Howman Harbor was. The flaming sphere quickly disappeared into the distance, leaving a twinkly speck. During this entire process, apart from at the very beginning, the demigod didn't take a second to look at the surrounding tourists. It was as though they never existed. A simple but smart ruse by getting someone to disguise as himself and board the ship, then using certain means to control the weather, thus creating proof that he's on the ship, but in actual fact, he had been at the harbor the entire time. Once the enemy starts a pursuit, he can then attempt to escape, and Lightning Klein made a judgment. This made him suspect of the pursuitee was once a conspirer magician or the beyonder that was good at coming up with the ruses. As for the person who transformed into the burning white spear, his arrogance, detestable nature, and his usage of the Intis language had made Klein believe that he was probably a demigod from the Hunter Pathway. It was possible that he was an iron-blooded knight. I have no idea why there was a conflict. Klein shook his head and returned to the cabin. On the deck, the tourists finally snapped to their senses as they discussed the supernatural phenomenon they had just seen and the murmurs. A person can transform into a flame, and the flame can reform into a human. Amidst the noisy commotion, the liner continued cursing forward on the safe sea route. It didn't encounter any accidents midway, and it arrived at another harbor at midnight. Like usual, Klein didn't alight, afraid that he would encounter something. He took out his gold pocket watch and opened it to determine that the time to head to the restaurant. Another half an hour, Klein silently muttered to himself as he looked up out of the window. At this moment, many tourists who were bound for this harbor were heading for the dock along the gangway with their luggage in hand. As he swept his gaze, Klein's gaze suddenly stopped on the figure. The figure wore a black bonnet. He had a dark golden sideburns. His lips were tightly pursed as his facial features were clear and distinct, like an ancient classical sculpture without any wrinkles. He wasn't carrying any luggage, and soon he stepped onto the deck with the crowd, disappearing into the corner of the road. Klein just watched motionlessly as though his body wasn't his. He felt every drop of his blood turn cold as the name appeared in his mind. Insanguel? Is it him? What? Wait, what? He felt every drop of his blood turn cold as the name appeared in his mind. Insanguel. What the fuck? The string lamps on the horror had already lit up. Oh, we changed POVs? The street lamps in the harbor had already lit up. The liner's many windows also lit up in concert with them. Dwayne Dantes was waiting inside a first-class cabin in darkness and silence. Klein had already sat down without showing any emotions. All kinds of thoughts couldn't help but flash across his mind. This is the first time I'm discovering signs of Inzango after the great smog of Backland. Oh, shit. The demigod from before was probably tracking Inzanguel. His tracks are more profound than I thought. He found someone to disguise as him and gave him items to not divert his trackers, but to create a mental blind spot. It made one subconsciously eliminate this ship from the possible options. So he's on the ship. He was here from the beginning. Oh my god. Oh, this is gonna be such a good volume, dude. Oh man, we got shit with Amon. Fucking Will is about to be born. We got this whole shit with Death. This volume is called Undying, so we're probably gonna get shit with Azik. And Azik is now being involved. Oh my god, dude, there's too much. It's so late. This is so good. Oh shit, dude. Oh man, this is gonna be so good. The street lamps. Wait, where was it? The street lamps lit on the harbor already. The lantern made the window. It was instant Will. He was here from the beginning. That coincidental change in the weather was likely created by Instant Will with 008. Why would he be pursued by an Intis Hunter demigod? What is he plotting? Amidst his churning thoughts, Klein suddenly took out the adventurous harmonica and blew it. Silently, Miss Messenger Renette Tanker, with her four blonde red eyes, heads in hand, appeared before him. Klein opened his mouth before closing them again. Picking up a pen, he quickly wrote, Mr. Dwayne Dantes had discovered traces of Instant Will on Wayport Island of the Berserk Sea. Folding the letter, Klein handed it along with golden coin to Miss Messenger, sent it to the mailbox at Backland 7 Pinester Street. The four heads in Renette's hand turned at the same time as the 8 eyes looked at Klein. She didn't say anything and bit onto the letter and gold coin. Oh, it's going to be such a good volume. Leonard's Warning. All right, next chapter, Zero Stalling. 906 is called Leonard's Warning. Oh, man, it's going to be good. I think we're going to finish it tomorrow. Yeah. If you guys are on Discord, you guys can say I'm going to finish it tomorrow. You can say exactly 12 hours from now, Easy Geeky. If you guys want to spam it on the Discord, exactly 12 hours from now, this Easy is going to read the remaining 30 plus chapters of Volume 4. I'll make an announcement once we're done with this. Oh, it's going to be good. I'm ready. I'm excited. I need to find a good thumbnail. Is there a good spoiler-free thumbnail I can use for the Volume 4? I can't even look up anything. That's the problem. Shit. All right. Next chapter. Chapter 906 is called Lenar's Warning. Backland Northborough. The pitch black night had a crimson moon covered by clouds. There were only stream lamps on 2 sides of the roof that emitted a faint light, illuminating the road ahead and the doors of the nearby houses. 7 Pinter Street mailbox was silently hiding at the intersection between light and dark, bathing in a cold breeze that blew from side to side as though it was a slumber. At this moment, newspapers, bills, and letters from various unknown people suddenly spewed out from its mouth. These objects seemed to be dragged by an invisible hand as they floated in midair before flying towards the door and entering through a gap. Inside of the house at the floor, the newspapers automatically spread open as they rapidly flipped over. Then they were casually left on the chairs, stacking over other newspapers. The bills and letters continued flying into the living room, with the former quickly stopping. With a few shakes, they floated to the surface of the coffee table and lined up. They later had their envelopes removed, and the letters without envelopes quickly unfolded themselves, showcasing themselves in midair. It's going to be amazing. Oh, it's going to be amazing. Tomorrow we're finishing this, Misty. After a while, a portion of these letters flew onto a rack on the first floor study. Some rushed from scissors to help it cut itself apart. Then they orderly surged into the washroom and were thrown into the toilet. Whoosh. The mechanical flush of the toilet was automatically depressed, washing away the paper shred into the sewers. 7 Pinter Street went back to normal, and its silence was identical to an uninhabited house. Hi, Mr. Useful. Long time no see, dude. Southern Continent, East Balham, Colon City. Leonardo Mitchell, who had just arrived, was resting in a residence arranged by the local church the other night. Suddenly, that slightly aged voice sounded in his mind. Punk, you have an important letter? What letter? While Leonardo asked softly, he returned. He already had a guess in his mind. To mail an important letter to 7 Pinter Street without caring that it was inhabited, there was only one. No, 2 people. Klein Moretti and Dwayne Tontas. As for why the old man named Palacio Ross could still clearly read the letter sent to 7 Pinter Street, despite the Berserk Sea and half the northern continent separating them, but Leonard had only a guess or two. This was because he had helped the old man capture a spectator before. With regards to this, his theory was, old man definitely uses a worm of time to parasite that specter, making it his eyes, ears, and mouth on the northern continent. At that moment, Palazzo Paz replied to his question. It's from Klein Moretti. He said that while Dwayne Tontas was heading to the southern continent, he discovered traces of Inns and Will on Waypoint Island in the Berserk Sea. Leonard fell silent immediately as his mouth turned agape. However, he didn't say a word. After a long while, he muttered with a slightly hoarse voice. As expected, he didn't forget the need for revenge. Oh, shit, dude. What can I do? Oh, man. I'm getting emotional. What can you do? You're only sequence 6. Even if Instinct Will doesn't wield 008, you still lack the qualifications to exact vengeance on him. He just needs to reveal his mythical creature form to make you lose control and become a lunatic. The chances of you getting revenge are 0. This is a qualitative change that the godhood brings, Palat Zaras said rather sternly. Oh, man. He paused before chuckling. If you can't finish the volume tomorrow, maybe 9:30 or 9:32 are good chapters to stop at, I believe. Okay. Okay, awesome. All right, thank you for that, love. Okay, so either that, okay. So we can't finish in 9:30, but I'm gonna try and do my best to finish tomorrow. I'm gonna lock it in. I'm gonna do my best to finish tomorrow. He paused before chuckling. Thankfully, you understand yourself in a way that's better than before. In the past, you definitely wouldn't have said that. You would inform the church with news of Instant Will and join the team to pursue him. And now you know, you ask what you can do. Leonard had wanted to retort a few times, but he ultimately didn't say a word. Palat Zaras continued, what can you do for now is to give Klein Moretti some information. Wait for him to write back to you. Then, based on the agreements written, provide the necessary assistance. So no finding excuses. So as to inform the Church of Instant Will's location, Leonard heavily asked, somewhat surprised. Palat Zaras chuckled and said, no, hurry, do it at a critical moment. Although 008 enjoys causing its possessors death, it doesn't wish to be sealed even more so. As long as you inform the Church of Instant Will's location and begin a pursuit, it would immediately learn of it and make the necessary arrangements. Regarding this, you need to warn Klein Moretti. Leonard was taken aback for a second as he asked, old man, you seem to know 008 rather well. It wasn't apparent in the past. Palat's slightly aging voice chuckled. Of course I am. During the 4th epoch, 008 had once caused the death of an angel. Oh, so are you telling me the quill? It's maybe it's like the feather of an angel, right? The little white feather on the quill. Maybe it. Oh, I've returned with great wisdom. I can't tell you too much because once you know of it, it would also be known to you. The more you know about it, the more likely you'll become a character in its story. The fuck? So the less you know, the better. Leonardo came to an actual realization of 008's terror from old man's vague words. This had already exceeded the mysticism he knew. After some thought, Leonardo asked habitually, then how should I hint to Klein Moretti without letting 008 know? Or, oh, dude, this is getting so good, dude. Or that even if he were to know, it would be very superficial knowledge, making me a bystander in the story. Just as he said that, Leonard clasped his hands together and gritted his teeth. Without waiting for old man's reply, he continued, an indirect hint. I'll tell him I'll temporarily not inform the Church of Instant Will's location. I believe he should be able to understand that there's a problem based on the situation. He will understand that we need to be extremely cautious, and even if he fails to interpret that, his secret organization has members who understand the 4th epoch well enough to provide him with help. Just reading the sentence, once you know it, it will also know you. Oh, fuck? Once you know it, it will also know you. Without mentioning 008 should be enough for Klein to guess what this is pointing at. After Palat Zaras finished listening, he chuckled and said, humans will only grow under pressure. That's a good album, by the way, Under Pressure. Humans will only grow under pressure. Leonard exhaled and sat up. He found a pen and paper and penned his thoughts. Following that, he set up a ritual rite on the heels of that and summoned German Sparrow's messenger. Berserk Sea, Waypoint Island. On a liner docked at the harbor, many tourists were alighting. They were huddled in the lower decks cabins waiting to arrive the southern continent to begin a life filled with hope. Ah, shit. It's gonna be good, dude. They had gone through a great deal of effort. I feel like I'm not talking as loud as I normally do, Bullseye. Maybe that's also it. I'm also trying to be a little bit low. I'm trying to save my voice as much as I can before tomorrow. They had gone through a great deal of effort to save up the fare for a ship ride that spanned a few short days. They were from the lone and were those who had been forced to take such risks. Klein, who was acting as the tycoon, Dwayne Dantes. I need it. Klein, who was acting as a tycoon, Dwayne Dantes, wasn't like him. He lived in a spacious, clean, first-class cabin that could be described as luxurious under some candlelight. He opened a letter and had just delivered it to Renette Tinker. Let me hear your best metal scream. Oh, definitely not right now. Maybe tomorrow. You're definitely going to hear my metal scream tomorrow when we finish Volume 4. I know that. That is a fact. You will hear tomorrow. I'm conserving my energy for tomorrow. Will not be informed of the Church of the... Will not be informed of the Church of Instant Will's location for the time being. To Leonard, although the source of tip might put him in certain danger, it's not impossible for him to do it. Then he joined the Red Gloves to seek revenge. This means that he has a reason why he can't sound the alarm of Instant Will. As Klein thought, he continued reading the rest of the letter. Once you know it, it will also know you. Suddenly, Klein examined, finding the description somewhat familiar. This is very similar to Twilight Hermit Order. Oh! No, we're going to finish it like 12 hours from now, Bullseye. Yeah, because it's kind of late. I'm gonna sleep in, hit the gym in the morning, and then we're gonna finish it. Yeah. We're gonna do it tomorrow live. Sending client out, finding the description somewhat familiar. This is very similar to the Twilight Hermit Order. Any mention of it will be known. So 008 is a sealed artifact of the Spectator Pathway. Oh my god, it is the main ingredient to be the Fool. Holy shit. 008 is probably going to be needed to become the Fool. Oh my god. We're probably going to use it. Oh. And so he becomes the Fool. Oh wait. That's pretty good. As it was written, he becomes the Fool. Oh, wait. Okay. Okay, I'm getting a little too excited. I don't know. I might be talking out of my ass. I don't know if that makes sense. How we? Oh shit, dude! Make sure to schedule the stream for tomorrow so I can EXP farm. I will schedule it, but not to farm. But we'll find out. Leonard isn't informed of the church of this matter because he's held back by this. He wishes to wait for a better opportunity. This is likely something that Grandpa in his body told him. Klein nodded and thought, feeling thankful that he hadn't asked Renette for help moments ago. That would have been equally dangerous for Miss Messenger. Oh. I'm so... Bro thought Spectator Pathway will be used to become the Fool. Easy's obviously sleep deprived. No. Like, maybe we can use it, right? Like, maybe once you write it, why can't it get 75 XP? We don't know. Hold up. We don't know yet. That would have been equally dangerous for Miss Messenger. Besides, the most important of all, I have made any preparations. If I were to only rely on a helper I hire, my plan might be very well detected by 008 ahead of time. A series of coincidences would then be created, producing a targeted arrangement. Klein silently sat and felt that he needed to do something, but he was at a loss as to how to begin. From this angle, improving constraint with the requirements of the corresponding ingredients of Bizarre's Bane and Spirit World Plunder depend on the subsequent requirements of the City of Silver Chief and how long Miss Magician could receive the exact coordinates for her teacher. From her teacher, they were all dependent on external factors that Klein had no means of expediting. The only thing he could do was to try his best to digest his Marionette's potion as quickly as possible, and after concluding most of the acting principles, the actual implementation was more important. Therefore, Klein believed that he needed to obtain 2 marionettes within a short span of time. He had previously been delaying it because he didn't have any good targets. It stemmed from him being in Backland with servants around him. Unless there were special marionettes, it was very difficult to hide their existences, and now he was almost at the southern continent. He decided that as long as he identified an evil target who deserved the gallows, he would first transform them into the marionette until he had a better replacement. That could work. Perhaps using an ordinary marionette to complete a rather difficult task will accelerate the digestion. Hell, my standards for a marionette have dropped to its lowest. All I need to know is a Dutanese. That way I don't have to hire an interpreter. After all, I can share their senses. Klein quickly made up his mind and planned on... Oh! If they know Dutanese, then he'll be able to translate that on his own. Klein quickly made up his mind and planned on running to Lord Mitchell after he had a more advanced plan. East Ballum calling... Lane City. Klein carried his luggage and stepped onto the deck. Touching ground to the southern continent, he looked into the distance in the city that was built on terrace. He silently said to himself, I have to have 2 marionettes when I leave this place. And before that, he had one thing to do. It was to lose the tail of the followers that the military had arranged. The 2 gentlemen were rather good at being spies, but to Klein, they were as bright as fireflies in the night. This is because no matter how well disguised they were, Klein could use his faceless abilities of observation and his memory of a human's physical features to recognize them at a glance. Damn, this is getting good. All right, 907 is called the Power of Mysticism. You see how I pronounced it right? 907. Hold up. Let me close my windows. Now I'm starting to get cold. 25 minutes. 0.4 seconds. 1 sec. Pick this up a bit. What's up, man? Oh, wait, hold up.
Hold up. Let me refresh the top fans. I'm sorry. There you go. There you go. You get 3 XP earn events an hour up to 75. I want it. The more we yap, the more XP you get. That is for sure. I'm literally, look, man, I have a candle, and then on top of my candle, I have 2 decks of magic cards, and then I put my mic. All because I don't have a proper mic to raise it. I need to find a better mic stand, dude. If you guys have any good recommendations for a mic stand, I don't need the big metallic ones. I think I need those, like, I think it's called like a goose arm or whatever. Kind of like, it's like a little spring. I don't know. I have to look into it, man. I don't know. I need to find a better stand because it's getting so annoying just doing all this. I can have something and then kind of like mount it to the little wood frame right here, the little wood beam, and I can kind of just drag it down and have it hang down here. I don't know. A mic arm? Yeah, but I don't need like the metallic mic arm. I think it's called like a goose arm. It's like slightly thinner. I don't know. So we'll see. You still haven't told me of Japan. I didn't know you were a liar. Oh shit, Bullseye, I fucked up. I'm so sorry. Bullseye, I'm so sorry. I forgot about that. I'm so sorry. Megoose? You know what was the first thing I did, Bullseye? Look at a broad hold up, let me quickly do this. I'm sorry, because I did promise you that. Look up Abroad in Japan's video, 2-week itinerary. I mostly followed that location wise, and I just took off two locations. Here, let me...
Visiting Japan for the first time is exhilarating, fascinating, and perhaps above all, confusing. Where to go? What...
Let me send this to you. Or let me put it in chat. Look this up. Bullseye. I mostly follow this video when it came to the days. Like, how I spent my days. Like, I literally almost follow this verbatim. Almost. I kind of follow it. I changed my days up a little bit. We spent a little bit more time in Kyoto and Osaka. But these were mostly the locations he recommended. We tried going to them. Yeah, if you want, follow that, Bullseye. The only place we just didn't go to, this one remote village. Thank you, man. Here, hold up. Actually, look, I did promise you. Before we read the next chapter, let me find it.
It's time to retreat to our cozy Machia townhouse, where I can finally have my long-awaited soak.
This is the place I didn't go to. Hold up. I swear, man, if there's a fucking green screen effect, I'll be so mad. Thank God there's no green screen. This is the only place we didn't go.
Come for House of Pudding.
We didn't go to
really
Shirakawa. This is the only place we didn't go to. Like, we were in Kanazawa, and then from Kanazawa, we went straight to Kyoto. Go watch. We skipped this place. So we were in Tokyo for like 3 nights, and then from Tokyo, which is like over here, down here somewhere, we went to Kanazawa on the bullet train, the JR line. Oh, it was amazing. From Tokyo, we did 4 nights. We did 2 weeks. It was 4 nights Tokyo, and then we did 2 nights in Kanazawa. And then from Kanazawa, we went all the way down to Kyoto for 3 nights. And then we went from Kyoto, we went to Osaka for 3 nights. And then we went back to Tokyo. And then that's when we saw... Oh, man, it was just beautiful, man. We fucking saw Mount Fuji. Oh, man. I started crying, bro. I got so emotional looking at Mount Fuji. But I mostly... Like, this is the one thing we didn't do. We didn't go to Hakone. Like, there were just some things we didn't do. I'm going to find Jojo so I can unsee him. I'm going to go find Gojo. Dude, when you go to Japan, bro, it's like you got to go to Shibuya Station. It is just so crazy. Especially since you mentioned Gojo, you probably like Jujutsu Kaisen. It is so cool. Dude, it's such a big station. It's kind of overwhelming. That was the only train station I'm like, I fucking hate this station. There's so much shit going on, I'm going to get lost. But everything else, it was... banger. It was awesome, dude. It was so fucking cool. All right. Next chapter. 909. 909. 907. I'm gonna go find Go just so I can unsee it. My plan, I do want to go back. I think on Black Friday, I might look at tickets again. I'm gonna see if I can get them cheaper for next year. Like next year summer, like a year from today. I'm gonna check on Black Friday. Because I'd be down to go again, man. But I'm gonna wait till Black Friday to see if tickets go a little bit cheaper. All right, chapter 907 is called The Power of Mysticism. And most of Collin City's buildings were built on the paths that spiraled upwards. They would be squares or small towns in the middle, or rather flat, open spaces. Klein carried his luggage. What kind of Friday? Black Friday. Yeah, usually they go on sale. Like airplane tickets. Klein carried his luggage, and with his spiritual intuition as a seer, he randomly chose a direction to proceed in and found a relatively lively bar along the way. There weren't many carriages on the streets and rental types of rare sight. The most popular means of the transportation in East Balham was a coffin. What chapter does Volume 4 end? It ends around the 940s? Yeah. Around 943? There weren't many carriages on the streets, and the rental types were a rare sight. The most popular means of transportation in East Balham was a coffin. This stemmed from their traditions of worshipping death. People viewed coffins and items that brought about a serenity and peace. Therefore, Klein often saw people walking past him carrying a black coffin. The lids were lighter than the usual kind and were just a carriage door that would be open at any time. They were carried via 2, 4, or 8 or either people or by horses or a single horned goats. 38 chapters ago. Oh, that's exciting, dude. Oh, I lost my place. Horned goats. Such a tradition is quite terrifying at night, huh? It's not much better in the day. The entire city feels dark and creepy. Klein took in the scenery around him as he walked into the square. On the left was a cathedral of the Lords of Storms, and the right was restaurants and bars. When he stopped in his tracks, a coffin being carried by 4 men was also lowered. As his lids was opened, the passenger inside the coffin stood up and took a step forward. He was a Northern Continent-style gentleman, dressed in a white shirt and black vest. The gentleman's former coat was slugged against his arm, something he wore only after he'd left the coffin. Then Klein saw the man head straight for the Lord of Storms Cathedral and enter it. This sure is quite a discordant. Just in their Church of Storms enjoy changing the traditions of the colonies and forcefully implementing those of Lowen. Why don't they do that in East Balham? Is it because of the Death Pathway and the Evernight Pathway are similar? So the Church of Storms wishes to preserve some of the traditions of death worships so as to curb the proliferation of the Church of the Evernight. Klein nodded in thought as he turned to the building on the right, prepared to enter one of the bars there. Having experienced it personally, he came to the realization as to why dressing style of the ancient Balham Empire was written at such in so many history books. They enjoy wearing trousers. They are the light and breezy. They find creases beautiful. Isn't this to make it easier to lie in a coffin when outside? Klein shook his head with a smile as he pushed open the heavy wooden door. Squeezing through the drunkards, he walked towards the bar counter. At that moment, the 2 military followers had deliberately opened up a distance from Dwayne Dantes to prevent themselves from being exposed. They had walked through the door inside. Taking this brief repetitive, Klein suddenly switching directions and passed through the crowd like a fish in water, heading straight for the bar's back door. Although he didn't know Dutanese, he could read the drawings on the sign and knew where the washrooms and places were entry for forbidden to the customers. After circling to a blind spot from the door, Klein quickly took off his coat and slung it on his arm. Immediately, with a golden cane, he reached out his palm to cover his face and slowed down his pace. Turning the direction again, he headed for the bar's entrance. After opening up a distance nearly 10 meters from where he took off his coat, Klein lowered his face, shielded the right hand to reveal a completely different face. New persona? His white sideburns, deep blue eyes, and delicate demeanor were all gone. He had now switched to a common Lowanese face that could be seen anywhere on the northern continent. With luggage and cane in hand, Klein walked stately towards the 2 military followers as they were looking for Dwayne Dantes. He walked past them and left the bar. Be it tracking or anti-tracking, they were both strong traits of a faceless. Returning to the square, Klein turned into a sloped alley that led to a higher ground. He planned on finding a hotel elsewhere. As he walked on a rather deserted path, he suddenly heard a woman's frantic cries. The voices was only maintained for a very short moment before it was silenced. Although he didn't know what she was shouting, Klein could only sense a horror, fear, and panic in her voice. Hence, he switched directions and entered a narrower or more deserted trail. In less than 10 seconds, he saw a local man in his 30s who was pressing against a 13 or 14-year-old girl in a secluded corner and was using violence against her. His skin was brownish and he had rather soft facial features. What? Klein took a glance and slowed down his pace before stopping in the nearby shadows. Ah, man. At this moment, the girl's face was extremely horrified and distorted. However, regardless of how she struggled, she was unable to free herself and only had receiving a beating response. Her tears and snot flowed out of her mouth. Fucking asshole, man. Her tears and snot flowed out while her mouth was stuffed with cloth. All she could do was produce muffling sounds. At this moment, she was surprised that the rotten egg's attempt to take off her clothes had slowed down. Without having the time to consider what was happening, she subconsciously looked at the rotten egg and found that his eyes had widened. His facial muscles were withering slowly, but he was unable to form a complete expression on his face. Then his limbs twitched and paused as they continued doing what they were doing but were easily avoided. This girl instinctively pushed him, which had ended up having surprisingly excellent results. Freed, she merely stood up and fled. However, she couldn't help but feel her legs go limp. After a few steps, she tripped over the stone and nearly fell to the ground. At this moment, she heard the sound of footsteps behind her. Reeling in anxiety, she fumbled to her feet. But almost immediately, the sounds of footsteps suddenly ceased. The girl subconsciously looked back and only to see the rotten egg standing 2 meters away. His joints were making strange accents as though they were rusted. What's happening? The girl felt as though she was having a nightmare. The brown-skinned man struggled for a moment before quieting down. Revealing a smile, he said in Dutanese, "In the future, when you meet someone like me, remember to head for the nearest cathedral or somewhere where there's plenty of people." The girl was taken aback for a moment before she screamed. Turning around, she ran as fast as she could. Subconsciously, she chose to run in the direction of the square where the cathedral was. When the calm and silence of the deserted spot was restored, the brown-skinned man turned to look at the nearby shadows where Klein walked out from. A new marionette. His body isn't strong enough and he's not nimble enough. He lacks beyond her powers and looks rather fierce. Apart from knowing Dutanese, he's completely useless. Klein simply evaluated, if it wasn't because he was committing a crime and that I wasn't proficient in the local language, I would have burned him immediately. He couldn't help but make a comparison with the former marionette, Admiral Blood Senor. He's like, what a downgrade. Senor was a wraith and was capable of mirror blink. He could hide in the gold coins and reflective surfaces. I didn't need to worry that he would be seen by others. He also had Shriek and the ability to possess others. Together with a marionette, it's a perfect combination. More importantly, he also knew Dutanese. Comparing this marionette and him is like the difference between a penny and 42,000 gold pounds. I have no idea what his name is. You know what, man? Can we turn Amon's avatar into a marionette? I don't even think that would be feasible. Or maybe something related to death, if we're reading The Undying. I have no idea what his name is, and I can only use the powers to sense the super Wraith plus marionette is a crazy combo. I think it was the best combo. He literally had the best combo, and he literally lost it just like that in Foggy Town. I have no idea what his name is, and I can only use the powers to sense some superficial thoughts. I have no way of obtaining deeper memories unless I encounter someone of something familiar. There would be a corresponding change of the spirit to release more information. I'll just call him Afu. No, that's too Chinese. Oof. It is. Klein rubbed his temples inside. He needed to leave the area with his new marionette. Oof, before the girl led to the clergyman over. Before long, with the help of his marionette's translations, he found an inn to stay at the border between Col and Silly, flourishing in the backward area. This place didn't need to provide any proof of identity, even though Klein had already changed his appearance to that of a regular local. There's an even greater lack of administration management at the colonies at sea. Klein put down his luggage, threw most of the cash he brought with him above the Great Fog, leaving only 50 pounds for his daily expenses. Meanwhile, 50 pounds is his daily expensive. He's come such a long way. Damn. Meanwhile, having crossed the Berserk scene without needing to be afraid of causing any further anomalies, he took down the copper whistle and the iron cigar case from the mysterious space above the Great Fog so as to make it easier for Mr. Zik to locate him. After finishing all of this and having had dinner on the liner, he had the spare time to seek out his second marionette. As for now, he could find one. Klein, who didn't understand Colin City well enough, decided on using his traits as a seer and do so with mysticism means. I read that wrong. And do so with mysticism means. With Oof, he left the inn. Klein snapped the branch of Donigsma? I cannot read that word. And used it as a dowsing rod. With great familiarity, he used cognition to mutter the location of my new marionette. What the fuck? He's just like, find me a new strong marionette. I got you. In the silent environment, pairs of colored eyes seemed to pierce through the obstruction of the incorporeal and the corporeal lance of the dowsing rod. The branch fell to the ground and pointed in an end direction. After advancing forward a little, he did another divination, followed his new revelation 7 to 8 turns later, he arrived at a steep staircase. The staircase was connected to the many rows on the co-lane. One had to look up to see the top, and there was no one at all. The divination's revelations is pointing here. Why isn't there anyone here? The results isn't accurate because I don't need a divination above the Grey Fog. I'm already signifies marionettist. My divination abilities are definitely one of the best below that of a high sequence bounders. Klein frowned suddenly as he surveyed the area, but he failed to find any new targets. After some thought, he walked forward to the staircase and sat in the shadows of the lowest steps. He then waited in boredom despite a lack of confidence, and we can coincidentally find somebody really strong. After some thought, he walked towards the staircase and sat in the shadows of the lowest steep. He then waited in boredom despite a lack of confidence. After a few minutes, he stood up again and made Oof sit where he was sitting. Then Klein opened up a gap from him and hid 200 meters away in a hidden spot. Collins City of the Lower Lip District. Leonardo Mitchell and Dally Simon arrived at the nearby district of the Red Gloves team captain Soist. With the night as a cover, Soist empathized the operation to all members once again. Our target this time is Ulika, who's living at Unit 13. He's a rather important member of the numinous Episcopate and is in charge of communicating with the different small teams in Backland. Although all our intelligence points to him not being a demigod, I have applied for a grade 1 sealed artifact to be safe. Her excellently goddess's eyes is also ready to provide her assistance to use anytime. Also, most of the residents of this district are locals. We have to be wary of them also being members of the numinous Episcopate. That was so quick. All right, chapter 908. Keep reading. We got to keep going. Power, power, power. Power. We got to keep going. We got to keep going. Power, power, power. 908. 908. Timestamp. 35 minutes. Oh, wait, no. 36 minutes. Nice pace. I think it's a pretty good pace so far. All right, chapter 908 is called Not Leaving Any Problems. Lower Lip District. I just realized how funny that name is. Lower Lip District. 13 K9 Street. The plump Ulika was sitting on a sofa with his tiny dark brown eyes and skin, wrapping a dried yellow tobaccoed leaf and 10 different kinds of southern continent herbs and spices together. He cut it into the long strips. Then he held his self-made East Ballin smoke pipe in his hand and brought it close to the matchstick his subordinates had lit. Then he ended the end blackened and curled as it glowed red, biting at its end and taking a deep suck. Ulika slowly exhaled white smoke that was tainted with light blue husk. He looked at the visitor of the single-seater opposite him and said, "This is what a cigarette is, a real cigarette. The ones on the northern continent are only suitable for children." The person sitting on the single-seater was a man in his 40s. He had a high nose, blue eyes, and gentle facial contours. His black hairs was thick and curly. His skin color wasn't too dark, but neither was it fair. He resembled a mixed blood between someone from Lowen and Balam. He chuckled upon hearing that as he replied in Dutanese, "Unfortunately, I have zero interest in any kinds of cigarettes." Enzo. I thought it said Ezio. I'm like, oh shit, Ezio Auditore? Enzo. Wait, Enzo. Where's that name from? And I am Enzo. That name sounds so familiar. I feel like I've played a video game or watched a show where there's a character named Enzo. Isn't Enzo the bad guy from Naruto, the old man? Isn't that Enzo? Enzo, you don't know how to enjoy life at all? Before Ulka couldn't finish the sentence, his powerful spirituality was a result of his pathway had warned him of some danger. Enzo is a popular name. I'm trying to remember where I've read Enzo from, or I've heard of that name. I'm trying to remember what game or medium I've watched. Enzo Ferrari, for example. Enzo Ferrari. Oh, no, I'm not talking about like a real person, maybe. No, my bad. He had yet to leap away from where he was sitting when all he saw was darkness. It was as though he could directly see the night sky outside. A strong sense of sleeplessness overwhelmed him as he felt a level of serenity from the bottom of his heart. Not Naruto. It's Enzo isn't from Naruto. It's not the old man with all the freaking eyes. I mean, oh, that's a spoiler. I'll be chill. It's a car name? Oh, never mind. I'm way off. Along Kane Street, being houses with lit lamps or extinguishing lamps, it became abnormally silent at the very moment. It was as though no living being lived in them, or that everyone had fallen asleep at the same moment. At this moment, the snoring and slump Ulika suddenly leaped. His eyes wore a strange combination of reverie and lucidity. Behind them, a nearly illusionary girl with pale skin. Dally? Illusionary girl with pale skin was stuck to his back at some point in time. The girl's eyes were bluish green and her lips were jet black. Her eyes were silently looking to the side, and her ghastly pale and translucent limbs had drilled into Ulika's body as though she was a spirit that couldn't be shaken off. I do this so hopefully this isn't too early, but prepare fight music for around the next chapter. Bad. No, it's okay. That's all good. Yo, what's up? What's up, Alma? Long time no see. Her existence brought a chill to his soul body, making Ulrika barely resist his abnormal sleeplessness as he broke free from the influence of a nightmare. Before Ulrika could completely regain his lucidity, he instinctively rushed to the staircase. Extending his palms, he exerted strength towards the front as though he was pushing a door that didn't exist. In a blink of an eye, a difficult to describe bronze door covered in a mysterious pattern appeared in front of Ulrika. It wobbled and created before cracking open a gap. The gap led to an endless darkness. In it were indescribable eyes that watched the outside world. Meanwhile, large amounts of squirming and strange objects that were still unrecognizable surged wildly from the gap. Ulrika was about to continue, exerting his strength to open the door and cause the terrifying world behind him to descend. Upon K9 Street, where he suddenly saw a pair of pale, translucent palms appear out of thin air, they passed through the deep, darkened, and pressed down on the interior of the door's gap. The palms didn't originate from anything. They weren't connected to a body, and the wrist was bloody. It was unknown who had severed them. Both parties exerted their strength, and the mysterious bronze door stopped moving and neither closed nor opened further. High above Unit 13, Sois, who was already I forgot what spirit warlock. Okay. Sois, who was already spirit warlock, was floating in midair thanks to an invisible force. His hands carried a sundial made of gold as he slowly raised its hand. When the golden sundial was finally raised above Sois' head, it respectfully glowed, followed out, and quickly outlined and became one. Yo, it's 6 a.m. I gotta sleep. Someone do the music change. Thanks. No, it's okay, Gabby. I'm so sorry. We're only gonna read till 9:12. Sequence 5, Sleepless. Thank you. Thank you, Charizard. Suddenly, another sun seemed to appear in midair, directing all the light and heat to 13 K9 Street. None of that caused any damage as they penetrated through the buildings and landed above the bronze door, enveloping Ulrika, who was standing in front of it. Ulrika instantly grimaced in extreme pain as the pale and nearly translucent girl let out a shrill scream, but it was stopped by the sunlight and drowned on the onslaught. She warped and quickly evaporated, producing wisps of black gases that dissipated into the sea of night. There wasn't a single spot inside the building that remained dark. After the sunlight faded, the indescribable bronze door had already vanished. On the ground was a black swollen corpse that was infusing pale yellow oil. There's been a lot of yellow oil stains popping in and out now with corpses. Okay, so it is corpse residue. It was a black swollen corpse that was infusing pale yellowish oil stains. With a boom, the corpse tore apart. A thin, tiny figure leapt out from the inside. This figure had identical looks to Ulrika, but its skin was raven black as though it was stained in ink. The surface on his body that stood at the height of around 1.3 meters had sticky pus flowing across it. The moment he had appeared, he dashed to the staircase with a ludicrous speed. Boring into the cellar, he opened a secret trap door he had prepared in advance and dashed forward as fast as he could. In just 10 seconds, a miniaturized black version of Ulrika saw the entrance. Hope? He didn't lower his guard as he gently clenched his right fist, producing about 8 transparent illusory figures from his body. They were of all kinds of shapes and sizes, as though they were abominations that fused the characteristics of humans, plants, and certain animals. Some held Ulrika's arm, others lifted his feet as they took off in flight. Right on the heels of that, a mechanical switch was shifted, gears started rotating at the exit door flung open, leading to the silent and dark street corner. Furthermore, ahead were streets that stood on the lower guard, and on 2 sides of the streets were rows of houses. They appeared like the sea that churned with the light of the crimson moon. Ulrika was just about to use the help of the spirits to fly over to the secret passage and disappear into the other districts of the Kalian city when his eyes reflected a foggy lake. The lake skimmered with light, producing a tranquil beauty. In the middle of the concentric circle rippled out as beautiful as illusionary figures floated up. Hi, Cammy. Bye, Cammy. This was a power type of spirit. Human legends often deemed it as the goddess of the lake. Many a time, the strength of a spirit guide depends on the deceased or a natural spirit they found and controlled. It was the same with spirit warlocks. However, the inclination of the spirit guides were the deceased, while for spirit warlocks, they were better at controlling natural spirits. Natural spirits versus the deceased. At this moment, the strange transparent figures around Ulrika uttered a monotonous sound of horror. Throwing away the arms and legs they were carrying, they drilled into the thin, pitch-black body like the wind. With a crash, Ulrika fell to the ground, but he didn't feel any pain. With a result of the intense sleeplessness assaulting him, it made him fall asleep without realizing it. At the exit, Dally Simon, who was wearing a spirit medium robe, with her face made up with blue eyeshadows and blush, walked out from some unknown location. Looking at 1.2 meter tall Ulrika, she said, The deceased spirit he fused with is very strange. If it doesn't use a living human's body as a house, it would quickly dissipate. We need to make every second count in order to obtain information. In the shadows beside her, Leonardo Mitchell walked out. He looked at Dally Simmons in surprise and said, "Aren't you a spirit guide? How do you control a goddess of the lake?" Aren't you a spirit guide? How do you control a goddess of the lake? Aren't you a poet? Why don't you write poems? Dally snapped back. Dude, she's like, ugh. Aren't you a poet? Why don't you write poems? On the other end of the street of a gentle cliff, a figure quickly moved downwards with the protruded pieces of rock quickly landing in the shadowy corners of the John Street below him. His skin was light-colored and his eyes were blue. He had thick raven black hair that curled slightly. He was none other than Enzo, who had been a guest of the Ulika's Palace at the Lower Lip District, 13 Canine Street. Enzo wasn't a member of the numinous Episcopate. He was one of the traders of the Lice. Oh, he was a trader. He was one of the traders. He got burned. Yeah, definitely, man. She fucking bit at him right there. She bit back. He was one of the traders of the Lice School of Thought that had escaped under the enticement of the Rose School of Thought. Furthermore, he was neither beyond or from the apocryphy pathway that led to the vampire sequence, nor did he worship the primordial moon. He was the only person who didn't wish to accept the various rules set by his teacher and his teacher's teacher. He wished to lead a carefree life and take advantage of being a winner. A winner? Isn't winner part of the monster pathway? Wasn't there one called the winner? Or wasn't it the lucky? Such a state of mind, he betrayed Will's organization to join. Yeah, so he betrayed Will's organization to join Mother Tree of Desire to go. He did it to go gambling? That's why he did it? Oh, because he's the winner. Oh, because he's Sequence 5 winner, he can win if he's gambling all the time. That is so fucking funny. He's like, I'm not living the life of my teacher or my teacher's teacher's life. I'm going to be a winner and gamble. Such a state of mind was strongly advocated by the Rose School of Thought's indulgence factions, so it didn't take long for him to formally join them, allowing him to freely satisfy all his various desires. This time, he was representing the Rose School of Thought to make contact with the numinous Episcopate and Co-Lane and discuss the possibility of cooperating on certain matters. To his surprise, Tenebros, deceased Ulika, has suffered a sudden raid by the Church of the Evernight. It was a high-level raid. Putting everything on black? I've put everything on red. And I have not won. Even in Cyberpunk Final Liberty, I put everything on red and I still lost it all at the end. Thankfully, I'm good at anti-divination. The Church of Evernight members didn't know ahead of time that I was at Ulika's place, and they didn't pay too much attention to me. They just thought of me as Ulika's subordinate, allowing me to find a chance to escape to the core region. Besides that, sunlight mainly purifies objects with the power of death, evil, and corruption. It didn't deal much damage to me. That's likely a demigod level attack. Enzo walked to the shadows in the street and couldn't help but recall what had just happened. After fleeing quite a distance, he turned to look behind him and discovered that no one was chasing him. He merely heaved a sigh of relief and chuckled. A winner is a winner. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. A winner is a winner, the eternal winner. Enzo recovered his usual confidence as he proceeded down the street with a smile. Then he turned to his left and quickly moved down the stairs. It was a steep and long staircase that reached many lower level streets. In the vicinity of Canine Street, the Soy suddenly opened his eyes and said to Leonardo and Dally Simon, "There was a man named Enzo at Ulika's place. He is a member of the Rose School of Thought and doesn't have a low sequence. He probably enjoys quite an important position. You are to quickly search the surroundings and see if you can find any traces of him and trying to capture him successfully. Don't leave any problems behind. As for the other Red Gloves and local Nighthawks, they either had to capture the remaining numinous Episcopate members or were already capturing them in a dream. They hoped to obtain the first-hand news as quickly as possible. Only a few were left behind to watch any accident and protect the companions. Yes, Captain Soyce. Leonard didn't hesitate to agree. Dally grabbed at the wind and cupped her hand to her ear. After listening for 2 to 3 seconds, she said, "The little guys around here tell me and someone did escape via the cliff." Oh, that was the end. Yellow Crystal can help you win. Next chapter, chapter 909, is called Serving Good Luck. All right, let's keep reading. 909. Copy paste. Timestamp. 48 minutes. Shit, I think there's a new LSC chapter. I should have read it in the morning. Fight music now? All right, fight music now. We'll just start playing it. Don't worry, I got you guys. I'm gonna keep the volume a little bit low for me. Let me see how it sounds. It's a little bit loud. I'm gonna try and keep it a little bit low. Let's see. Test, test, test. 1, 2, 3. How does this sound? I'm gonna keep the volume a little bit low for me. Let me see how it sounds. It's a little bit loud. I'm gonna try and keep it a little bit low. Let's see. Test, test, test. 1, 2, 3. How does this sound? Okay, that sounds pretty good. Okay, that sounds pretty good. Okay. All right, we're good. Okay, that sounds pretty good. I'm gonna turn it down maybe a smidge more. I did it right there. I'm so proud. I will almost likely never need to remind Easy to update chapters. Hey, yo, man, we come a long way, dude. We always remember now. Mysterious phone. But hey, you can still remind me from time to time. For good old times, Misty. For good old times, brother. Chapter 909 is called Serving Good Luck. Don't jinx it. Now, Mysterious Phone, we definitely fucking jinxed it. Now I'm gonna forget to update. I know I always forget to update chapter titles when we get near the tail end of a volume because it gets so hype. I just forget to update. I know that always happens. Chapter 909 is called Serving Good Luck. On the steep and long rocky staircase, the crimson moonlight illuminated its midsection, leaving rather thick shadows along its side. Enzo was like a normal pedestrian at night, walking a little anxious but without showing any signs of being flustered. He had a deep faith in the excellent good luck being the winner in life, one that wouldn't be caught by the Nighthawks. Seeing that he would be done after a few more fights on the steps, Enzo, who was once of the monsters, suddenly sensed something as he turned his head to look at the shadows on the lowest point of the staircase. He then saw a figure sitting on Oh, this is our new marionette. No, that doesn't make sense. Klein isn't here. Wait. Yes, this is our new marionette. Seeing that he would be done after a few more fights of steps, Enzo was once of a monster, suddenly sensed something as he turned his head to look at the shadows in the lowest point of the staircase. He then saw a figure sitting there in a daze. He looked at the figure, appeared rather indistinct due to the lighting, and he was dressed in the standard outfit of someone from East Ballum. The figure took out a box of matchsticks and struck a match to light up the surroundings. Enzo didn't bother sizing up the person when he suddenly saw a scene before his eyes. The figure threw a matchstick over as though he was gifting him something, and when the matchstick approached, it suddenly burst into a ridiculous inferno as a man wearing a formal suit and top hat walked out. Is it Klein? Seeing the scenes he shouldn't see and hearing the sounds he shouldn't hear were a daily occurrence for a monster. Having become a winner, Enzo was already used to all of this. Without any thought, he fully believed in his intuition and lunged forward, jumping off the staircase and making 2 rolls onto Lower Street. Definitely our new marionette, bro. Sequence 5 monster. Oh, okay. Before the matchsticks hit the ground, scarlet flames extended out of midair in a splendid and brilliant manner. Amidst the flames, Klein's... shit. It's 5 in the morning for him. He is sleeping right now. Oh, shit. Amidst the flames, Klein's black suited figure with a half-top hat leaped out. However, he had lost sight of his target. Klein had discovered someone rapidly coming down the staircase about 10 seconds ago, and he was hiding from something. He's suspecting that this was his new marionette. He immediately did a dream divination and obtained the revelation that the man was related to the Rose School of Thought and wasn't anyone good. With such a result, Klein didn't hesitate to take action. Unfortunately, due to the lack of time, he didn't have the time to use Paper Angel, which had been recorded in Creeping Hunger, to interfere with the target's spiritual intuition. As a result, it made his ambush fail. At that moment, Oof had already left the final flight of steps of the staircase. He was running with large strides towards Enzo, who had just stood up. Enzo's mind stirred. Without dodging, he nimbly turned his body to the side, avoiding the ordinary attack. Then he drew his gun and quickly aimed. With a bang, he shot Oof's chest. As blood gushed out, R.I.P. Well, he deserved that. Oof staggered for a moment before collapsing. His breathing rapidly weakened. Klein took this brief opportunity as his body vanished, phasing right in front of the target to block his escape route. Enzo seemed to have an inexplicable strange premonition. He immediately tightly shut his eyes. He didn't know why so he's doing stuff and he had a strange premonition. He immediately tightly shut his eyes, but he doesn't know why he's doing it yet. He didn't know why he did so, but as the mid-sequence beyond or the fate pathway, believing his intuition was instinct, immediately after that, Enzo frantically switched directions. Attempting to rely on his spiritual intuition, he rised into another street, but at that moment, the man in the suit, who didn't have any outstanding features, appeared in front of him again. Klein's figure kept disappearing and appearing in every direction, as though he was running around Enzo at high speeds, often blocking his path but not dealing any direct attacks. Whether he used beyond her powers or not, it made Enzo face a figure wearing a black suit and half-top hat no matter where he turned to. For an instant, Enzo, with his eyes closed, even imagined that he was facing a group of enemies instead of one enemy. A traveler was often able to create the effect of being besieged. In just 10 seconds, Enzo, who had failed to find a path to escape, suddenly jolted. His actions instantly slowed down as his mind and joints seemed to be injected with glue. Traveling works well with a marionette as well. Well, While Klein was phasing around, he kept maintaining a distance of 10 meters from Enzo. He has been secretly controlling his spirit body threads all this time. Yeah, dude, he's scary. My man is hiding in the shadows, just dashing around him, and he's already controlling his spirit body threads. Dude, no good. I am so excited to reread Volume 1 off stream. It's gonna be so cool, like, seeing how, like, weak he is in the beginning. And, like, dude, he's come such a long way, dude. Oh, shit. Oh, I lost my place. No, I found my place. No good. He doesn't attack and is only blocking me, not because he is waiting for the Nighthawks, but for another reason. Enzo, who had still... Oh, he doesn't know why, but he feels something. Enzo, who has still had his eyes shut, felt his heart tighten. Suddenly, he stepped onto Ra, causing his body to lose balance. He slammed heavily to the ground, causing his revolver to fly several meters away. Plop. The pain and shock had snapped Enzo out of his suppressed state. He found his fluidity again. I didn't realize Easy got his copy of the book. Yeah, we got it in the mail, dude. We'll try and make a video tomorrow. Enzo was no stranger to such accidents. As a winner, he often attained an advantage due to all kinds of low probability events and thus clinch victory. Without hesitation, he was just about to dash towards the end of the street to his side and flip over the fence to jump into the sea, allowing what fate had arranged for him to escape his predicament when another scene flashed in his mind. In it, he was breaking out into the coughing fight to the point of not being able to stand up or open up his stride. Elements, the enemy can afflict me with elements. He isn't attacking me and is simply blocking my escape route in order to keep me in this area, thus infecting me with elements in an unnoticeable manner. Angelo's heart skipped a beat as he suddenly felt a strong sense of delight. The green essence ring he wore came from a believer of the primordial moon. Upon activation, it could easily treat any ailments or injuries that weren't too serious. Ooh, Klein could use this. This is luck. Enzo pretended not to discover the infectious element in the air. Exerting strength in his palms, he lunged forward and followed his predetermined route towards the fence at the end of the street. Moments after he took 2 steps, he suddenly coughed and involuntarily slowed down. His coughing didn't quell like usual. Instead, it was worsening, as though he was about to cough out his lungs. Klein's figure flashed and appeared behind the target while he maintained 10 meters from him. At this moment, Enzo spread his arms and allowed the invisible waves to ripple out of his body. It was like a pure psyche storm that swept all his bodies in the vicinity, bringing it with an intense sense of drowsiness and calamity. Klein similarly had a premonition for danger. The moment Enzo spread his arms, his body had already vanished from the spot and had appeared in the midsection of the steep staircase. Still having his eyes closed, Enzo realized that he didn't receive his desired effect. He immediately abandoned the idea of escaping after finishing his target. He continued running towards the fence at the end of the street. He had a hunch that if he stalled a little longer, a number of Nighthawks would catch up to him, making the situation even more chaotic. And as a former looking one and a winner, the more chaotic the situation, the higher the chances of him escaping. At this moment, as he had repeatedly changed directions while running blindly, he once again faced by Oof, who had been shot in the chest. On Oof's left finger was a golden ring with an inlet ruby. A sanguine beam flashed out of the beam. As Oof's injuries began recovering, he bounced up and widened his mouth, biting down on Enzo, who was running past. His tongue seemed to lose substance as it formed into a blob of flesh and blood, flower of blood. Oof was wearing the flower of blood ring, which Klein had obtained from Mr. X. How did he... What? How did he end up wearing it? I missed that part. Oof wore the flower blood ring, which Klein had obtained from Mr. X. It could randomly allow the wearer to abandon any rationality in order to become a beast. On the other hand, it could allow the wearer to control their body at a deeper level. As long as they didn't suffer from instant death or become completely purified, they could heal from any kind of injury. At the same time, it also came with flesh and blood magic. It was a mystical item that was very suited for marionettists. Before Klein came out to seek a new marionette, he didn't know which pathway or sequence his target would be. Therefore, to make well-rounded preparations, he made Oof wear the flower of... Oh, wait, right here. He made Oof wear the flower of blood ring. This way he could direct a play of him being the main assailant with the marionette as a secondary assailant. But in fact, it was the exact opposite. Just as Enzo ran past Oof, he felt a stabbing pain at his knee, as though his previous fall had given him some light injuries. Since he does not care about the side effects of his marionettes, he put it on his marionettist. Okay, he puts it on his marionettes. Oh yeah, you're right, because they don't get affected by these elements. Okay. Oof's suddenly attack still failed to be effective against the winner. Enzo, who was just about to smile and run again. I'm sorry. Okay. Enzo was just about to smile and run again when he suddenly had a premonition. He subconsciously curled up and protected his vital spot. At the same time, Oof suddenly swelled up and suddenly exploded. Flesh and blood formed a storm, sweeping through a rather large area in the vicinity, hitting Enzo again and again. One of the preparations Klein had done was to use the power of creeping hunger after its mutation. He had planted a flesh bomb. Oh, a flesh bomb in his marionette's body. With a clank, the golden... Dude, he made him blow up at the last minute. What the fuck? With a clank, the golden ring with an inlet ruby landed on the stone slabs in the street. Klein's figure flashed to Enzo's side. He raised his left palm and made his palm pitch black as though they were formed of granules. He said a word filled with an evil and corruption, slow. Thanks to his luck, Enzo had avoided most of the damage. His lightly injured body suddenly turned still. As he was struggling, action slowed down. His curl posed and changed bit by bit. Right on the heels of that, he opened his eyes, due to the pain, and a figure wearing a black suit and half-top hat was reflected in his eyes. Enzo let out a tragic cry as he raised his hands to cover his eyes. Streams of blood seeped out from the gaps of his fingers. Monster, looking at his writhing target, Klein pricked up his brows. He continued controlling the spur by the threads and quickly achieved initial control. No shot, dude. This time, there weren't any accidents that broke the subsequent procedures. In a half-crazy state with scales growing from his body, Enzo was powerless to resist. Klein rather smoothly deepened his control. Time ticked by when Enzo suddenly stood up and converged the protruded snake-like scales. He pressed his hand to his chest and bowed to Klein. Oh shit, dude. What the fuck? Then he walked to the side and bent down to pick up the golden ring with the inland ruby. Wearing on his left hand... Okay, we're done in like two sentences. Oh my god, we're almost done with the chapter. Wearing it on his left hand index finger, it matched the emerald ring on the other hand. Klein held back the urge of looking at himself with his new marionette. He got Enzo to clear up the scene of his remnant flesh and any traces left behind. After doing all of this, he walked into the shadows with his marionette and quickly vanished. Yo, have a good night, Misty. Wow, we have a new marionette. We literally got the winner as a marionette. Oh my, that is so cool, dude. Oh my goodness. That is so we don't even need a Wraith anymore. We don't even need to be so sneaky and stealthy anymore, because once we reach sequence 4 and we become a true demigod, we don't even need to be hiding in the shadows. We just go all out. So he can go all out with Lucky and have such a good advantage. And now that he can sap people's fate or luck with his new charm, and with a new freaking winner marionette, I think we're going to be extremely lucky. Bro, marionette is now lucky. Dude, I wonder if he gives his new charm to him. So now his marionette is lucky. And he can make his opponents unlucky, right? Or you sap their fate. Chapter 910 is called Monster Pathway. Let's keep reading, dude. Okay. Let's keep reading. 9:10. Get my time stop. 1 hour. 36 seconds. Shit, man. I got about... You can make use of your luck to make the charm have more chance to hit. Damn, man. That sounds so... I think 910 is going to be our last chapter. I think this might be our last chapter. No. Yeah, I think this is going to be our last chapter. Yeah, it's probably going to be our last chapter. Music changed back now, I believe. Yeah, here, let's change back. All right, this is going to be our last chapter. Sure, no problem. Yeah, so tomorrow we're going to have to lock in. We're going to have to go live early and end at nighttime. I think tomorrow is when we actually do it. All right, this is going to be our last chapter for the day. We can't ruin our bedtime just yet. So we're going to go to sleep early. Yeah, okay. And then we're going to come back tomorrow and we're going to power through this bitch. And we're going to finish volume 4. Chapter 910. So make sure you tell everybody. Tell your friends and tell your enemies to join tomorrow. Chapter 910 is called Monster Pathway. A few minutes later, Dally Sibbett and Leonardo Mitchell, who had repeatedly made errors in judgment, finally arrived at the top of the street staircase. They proceeded down the steps at a very slow speed, cautious of their surroundings, and they were ready to enter combat at any moment. However, they failed to encounter any abnormalities. Even when they reached the bottom of the flight stairs, they didn't even find any useful clues. Dally grabbed onto the wind, cupped her hand to her ear, and listened carefully. A few seconds later, she looked around and said, "There was a gunshot. A weapon once dropped around the street. Banned. Then that man named Enzo is dead. When tomorrow, same as today. Yeah, tomorrow went same time as today. So we were live like 12 hours ago, right? About 12 hours ago we went live. What did it do, Leonard? I'll set up the schedule time right now once we end stream. Who did it? Leonard asked in surprise. From his point of view, due to the repeated failures they had encountered, Enzo had easily escaped their pursuit. The possibility of the Rose School of Thought monitoring, silencing him, and wiping away any clues. If that were the case, who could have killed the Beyonder who was suspected to be Sequence 5 or Sequence 6? It needed to be mentioned that the Red Gloves had used a sealed artifact to implant anti-divination before they carried out tonight's operation. It was unlikely for anyone to predict it ahead of time and wait there to hunt to escape Enzo. Dally shook her head. Those little guys didn't say anything. It's likely Beyonder who's good at anti-divination. Perhaps it's Enzo's enemy and they had been planning to act tonight. I wonder who it was. She simply offered a guess of hers, and due to beginning independently searching for the nearby streets to see if they could find any missing clues, taking this opportunity, Leonard circled to a fence in a particular street. Suppressing his tone, he asked, "Old man, did you discover anything?" Inside him, Palazzo replied after 3 seconds, "You should have heard a tragic scream and had used that correct the direction of your pursuit effort. It was left out by Enzo. He had apparently seen something extremely terrifying and indescribable, something that could directly cause damage and corruption to his soul body." Leonard was taken aback for a moment. He narrowed his eyes as he repeatedly softly, "Extremely terrifying and indescribable." Inside the inn, Klein teleported back with his new marionette. He then made his marionette stand to his side and sat down. As he side up his marionette, is there any artwork on his new marionette? On Enzo? Yeah, about like 11 hours from now. 11 and a half hours. I'd say like about 11 hours from now. He sighed, "A Beyonder of the monster pathway, but he's still inferior to Senor. There's no way for him to hide in a golden coin for ease of transport. I can only let him follow beside me." From his Beyonder sequence, he isn't a core member of the Rose School of Thought, but his sequence isn't too low. Some importance must have been placed on him. That also means that if I don't disguise him, it's very easy for me to be targeted by the Rose School of Thought. So we have to disguise him. On the contrary, I can probably use him as bait to fish for another rape. I think the Dunko will tell about Palace in the end of season 1. Oh, maybe? Really? Oh, we'll find out. Maybe we'll get more on him since they kind of already been hinting at his shadows. Yeah. When the time comes, he can walk alone while I hide 200 meters away to wait for the bait to be hooked. No, I can't. I mustn't let greed get to my head. The southern continent is where the Rose School of Thought is active. Once I expose my location with how much importance the Mother Tree of Desire places on me, not only will a saint come, even an angel might appear. Yes, it's better if I disguise as marionette. As a faceless, I'm quite skilled at disguises. Then I'll continue using mystical methods to find my next marionette. I'll wait for the Nets to finish the investigation for Mr. Zick to come find me. Klein quickly made up his mind. Using a myriad of meanings, he gained an understanding of his new marionette level of Beyonder powers. He was a Sequence 5 winner of the Fate pathway. In this pathway, Sequence 9 monster was one who had super high spiritual perception. They often heard sounds others couldn't hear and also seeing things others couldn't see. This allowed them to occasionally see the future and have an acute intuition for danger. Beyonders of this sequence often entered a state of enlightenment as they muttered indescribable words. Indecipherable words. It was a reason why they were treated as real monsters. As for the corresponding Sequence 8 robot, Sequence 8 was called Robot? I don't remember that. As for the corresponding Sequence 8 robot, the Beyonder would obtain terrifying calculation skills and precise control. The various parts of their bodies in those aspects would be clearly boosted, making them talented at close competent shooting. At the same time, they also have the powers of divination and anti-divination. The monster lore, first reveal, I think. Oh, okay, so it is the first reveal. Okay, I was like, a robot. Okay. Sequence 7 was named Lucky One, or Lucky. I remember this one. This is new lore. Okay, so we never had Sequence 8. Sequence 8 is robot. The Beyonders would obtain terrifying calculation skills and precise control. The various parts of their bodies in those aspects would be clearly boosted, making them talented at close combat and shooting. At the same time, they had the powers of divination and anti-divination. Okay, so we got a sequence reveal. Sequence 7 name was Lucky 1 or Lucky. Beyonders of this level frequently encountered lucky events in their daily lives, like finding money on the street, having enemies miss shots aimed at them, getting dice rolls as they wished, and having women they like to also like them back. Oh, wow. Look, oh, I have a crush on you. Oh, me too. However, their luck wasn't fixed and would fluctuate. At times, they were especially lucky, and at other times, they were no different from an ordinary person. Therefore, it wasn't something that could be relied upon, and no one had to temper one's expectations. Sequence 6 was Calamity Priest. Okay, we got a new one. Sequence 6 was called Calamity Priest. On the one hand, Beyonders could passively suffer all kinds of calamities, but they could foresee it and make preparations to eliminate or mitigate the effects. On the other hand, they would actively attract different kinds of calamities, affecting a target and enemy as a result, then using one's advantage of being lucky, avoid most of the danger, and attack during the chaos. To put it simply, they could pull their opponents into a situation where they could take advantage of their strengths best. Of course, many calamity priests could use the danger of their own passive encounters to attack their enemies. Meanwhile, calamity priests could create a psyche storms using their spirituality that suppressed the one of the pathways. They could directly affect their opponent's soul bodies, causing them to feel dizzy and lost. If a calamity priest enemy entered such a state, they were extremely prone to making errors. It caused the calamity to snowball and eventually devour them. And at Sequence 5, winner, Beyonders could control their luck to a certain extent. They could use their own temperance to accumulate large amounts of luck. At critical moments, they could dramatically reduce any danger to their life multiple times. From time to time, they could also encounter beneficial situations that have extremely low probabilities in their daily lives. For example, due to someone's mistakes, they might receive an inheritance. The strange comedic way they walked caused them to catch the fancy of a member of the opposite sex, or their enemies who were pursuing them foolishly get lost or make errors in judgment. At this level, Beyonders of the Fate pathway had a very keen sense of foresight, be it divination or anti-divination. They were very mysticism experts. Okay, that's why Monster is considered very strong. There's so many benefits to this. I'm not reading any downsides. The only downside is you become like a regular Joe if it fails. Like, what was it? You become either extremely lucky or you just become a regular person. In addition, they could also give their... I guess Sequence 9 is the only scary part. Yeah, like you're hearing and seeing things you shouldn't be seeing. In addition, they could also give their enemies bad luck to a certain extent, making their targets become unlucky. Beyonders of the Monster Pathway are really extreme. Apart from the spirituality and fate domain, they almost have zero Beyonder powers. Wait. Apart from the spirituality and fate domain, they almost have zero Beyonder powers. Even their constitution and calculation skills are provided at robot. The subsequent advancements give rather limited improvements. This is my ideal model for a charlatan. They do not have any offensive or defensive abilities, simply relying on the premonition of and how fate blesses them. I have to say that this is the most special path out of the 22 pathways I can find or guess their neighboring pathways. Only Monster seems to be rather asocial. It seems to be a lonely one. Perhaps the Beyonder pathway that focuses on fate is destined to be lonely. Monster is not an active pathway. You don't gain a lot of abilities that you can use whenever you want. So you get like a lot. It's like you're basically just getting passive buffs. Rather than like actual main abilities, you're just getting like passive skills. They could get killed by a single bullet, but they wouldn't because they are lucky. I guess that makes sense. That freaking center fight was so crazy when the rabbit and takes the bullet, or like how he falls coincidentally. Okay, damn, that's still badass though. Klein silently reflected on the matter and had some ideas regarding the usage of a marionette. Of course, he still needed to carry out divinations above the Great Fox. How are we going to be able to use this marionette now? Of course, he still needed to carry out divinations above the Great Fog. He needed to see if the passive good luck and calamity still existed after the Beyonder's actual death. If it really was present, Klein had to constantly face the trials of calamities. In comparison, Admiral Blood Center still is better than as a marionette. Sigh. he misses Admiral Blood Center is still a better marionette. Sigh. People only know how to cherish and regret once things are gone. That sounds a little on the nose. People only know how to cherish and regret once things are gone. That sounds like a very stressful line. Klein shook his head in a self-deprecating chortle. From the traits of the monster pathway, he thought of a few effective means to deal with the mid and low sequence Beyonders. First, it was to catch them by surprise, to let them see him directly. They would directly see the gray fog or other images, causing them to suffer a catharsis of the mind and receive damage to their bodies, pushing them to the brink of losing control. Second, it was to throw a special item out, causing them to face the test of seeing what should have been seen and hear what should have been heard. In this aspect, Klein had a blood crystal that came from a high-level devil that could produce such an effect. Blatherer's aura. It was as to entice them to give him bad luck and pretend to act unlucky so as to have the opportunity to strike back. Amidst his thoughts, Klein made his marionette empty his pockets, producing 35 pounds, 10 solely, 7 pence, and a leather wallet. The wallet's surface and interior had a flower and a name embroidered on it. It appeared to be completely handcrafted. Enzo. Whether that's your name or not, your name is Enzo. Klein shot a glance at his marionette as he moved his gaze down the golden ring with his inlet emeralds on his right hand. Via divination, he learned that the ring was named Green Essence. It had one effect: treat at any elements or injuries that weren't too serious. Be live in an hour? I mean, we'll see. No, we're supposed to... I'm supposed to go to bed in like... I should be asleep within the hour. And put it that way. It was precisely because of this that his negative effects were trivial. It only attracted mosquitoes. Thankfully, I'm not the one wearing it. Monster Pathway Beyonders don't seem to wear any mystical items. Even if they do, they will wear one or two rather low level ones. This is a requirement of fate. Clyde retracted his gaze in thought and looked at Enzo, who was staring at the wall. He had an urge to grow within him. He wished to use his Monster Pathway marionette to look at him. He wanted to know what was so special about him. Will this be very dangerous? I'll lose control of the result even if I'm not seeing myself. No, back in Tinkin, Adamisio had also looked at the straight at me without being a sequence 9. The only thing that had happened was having his eyes bleed to be in the state of a pain for a while. Although I have improved drastically from them, Winner Enzo didn't directly break down when he saw me just now. The reaction resembled my reaction when seeing Demoness of Despair, Panatia's partial mythical creature form. Do divination above the Grey Fog. No, that involves the Grey Fog itself. The outcome will definitely be interfered with rely on my own divination powers in the real world. Klein took out a gold coin and let it run through his fingers. After a while, the gold coin bounced up and fell down in Klein's palm. Okay. I think I want to read one more chapter. Adamisio mentioned. It's about time. It took 900 chapters, but we're finally getting more Adamisio. All right, we're going to read one more chapter. I'm feeling one more chapter. I'm feeling one more. I'm feeling one more. I'm fucking feeling one more. All right, here we go. Chapter... Oh, bro's not going to go to bed? No, we're going to bed. We're definitely going to be in bed. I need sleep because tomorrow is leg day, and I cannot miss leg day. I can't fucking miss leg day. I'm going to fucking shoot myself if I miss leg day. I can't miss leg day. I've been 2 days strong at the gym. Push, pull, and tomorrow's leg day. 1 hour, 13 minutes, 8 seconds. Might as well just read 912. We'll find out. We'll find out, okay? Well, hold up. Let's see how fast we can read this chapter, okay? Son of a bitch. I know. Might as well read one more. Let's read one more for now. Chapter 911 is called Strange Scene. Klein looked down at his palm as his eyes reflected at the golden coin. It was heads. This meant that Klein should use his marionette's eyes to look at himself. After receiving this revelation, Klein remained hesitant. He pondered about holding a ritual to send Enzo above the Grey Fog. Doing so was relatively safer, allowing the damage and the corruption of his spirit body suffered to completely strain by the environment before making an attempt. However, he suspected that he would receive an outcome. This was because the Beyonders of the Fate Pathway were noticing the projection of the mysterious space on his body. Above the Grey Fog, that uniqueness might no longer exist. It was like an attempt to observe an elephant's body. Instead of doing it outside, he was doing it internally. Pressing his fingers together, he clenched a gold coin in silence for a long while before making up his mind. He suddenly stood up, took out a ritual dagger, and created a wall of spirituality to isolate the room. This was to prevent anyone from hearing the possible screams or strange commotion. Immediately after that, Klein set up a ritual and sacrificed creeping hunger above the Grey Fog. He was afraid that the glove would turn on him when something had happened to him. This was the fixed trait of creeping hunger itself. Once it didn't have its fill and couldn't secure a schedule of eating one person a day, it would view its wearer as food, and Klein starved him more often than he fed it. After doing all the preparations in a meticulous and orderly manner, Klein reached out to take out the flower of blood from Enzo and wore it on his left palm. This ensured that he would recover even if he suffered any serious physical damage. At that moment, he was about to wear it. Klein thought for a moment and paused. Taking a piece of paper towel, he wrote, "Remember to take off the ring." He was worried that he wouldn't take flower blood off after his experiment due to his lowered intelligence. When that happens, perhaps I need a beautiful princess to wake me up with a kiss. No, take off my ring. Klein gave a significant laugh and exhaled. Removing his outerwear, he wore the ring. Then he cast his gaze at his new marionette, Winner Enzo. The sense of crisis and nervousness was inevitable, but as long as he made up his mind, the experienced him could only forge ahead without flinching. So he has to remind himself? Why? Wait, I'm sorry. Why does he have to remind himself? After doing some adjustments and entering a state of cogitation, Klein made the marionette slowly turn around to look at him. With the winner's eyes, he first saw a layer of thin, emanating grayish-white fog. Amidst the fog, there was a resplendent door of light that was tainted with bluish blackness. The door of light formed countless layers of spherical lights. Each spherical light envelops squirming maggots. Because one of the artifacts... Oh, the artifact lowers intelligence. Oh, thank you. Thank you. But it doesn't matter against his that's why he makes his marionettes wearing it, because the ring will make him dumb. Got it. And that's why when he made his marionettes wear the ring, they don't get affected because he's the one controlling them. Now I remember that part. LOL, I forgot about that part. I guess I forgot. Some of them were transparent, others translucent. They had complicated and indescribable symbols, and patterns had profound meanings. Before Klein could discern the actual details, he felt his mind buzz as he lost consciousness. After an unknown period of time, he slowly woke up. He had momentarily lost his memory, almost imagining that he had slept till daybreak. What happened? It was still dark outside. Klein stood up and with a push of his hands, only realized that he was on the ground. At this moment, he caught sight of Enzo through the corner of his eyes. Plenty of scenes of voices suddenly surged through his mind. That's right, I was trying to figure out what beyonders of the monster pathway can see from my body. I suffered too much stimulation and fainted immediately. I still vaguely remember painful screaming. Was that me? Klein, who had recovered his memories, hurriedly inspected his condition. He was surprised to see a bloody, gruesome wound on his body, as though something was about to tear out of it. At this moment, flesh was squirming in the wound, reforming at an abnormally fast pace, so he's healing. Klein then looked at the ground and saw that the blood that had outlined his silhouette of where he was lying down. Thankfully, I wore flower blood, otherwise I might have slowly died due to the heavy injuries brought about from the breakdown on my body. After I resurrect, I wonder if I'll be in a human form or a monster form. Klein, he would have been dead if he didn't do this above the Great Fog. He would have been so dead. Klein raised his hand and rubbed his temples as he scanned his surroundings. He found that the furniture had toppled, but the wall of spirituality remained intact. He heaved a sigh of relief, confirming that the abnormality was only limited to himself and the small area around him. Nothing had spread. And from the speed at which his wound was recovering at, Klein determined that he had been unconscious for more than a minute. At less than a minute? He picked up the chair and sat down, feeling as though he had forgotten something, but he just couldn't recall what. Only when he instinctively cleared the area did he see a note with the words, "Remember to take off the ring." Only then was he enlightened as he... Oh, he forgot. Remember to take off the ring. Only then was he enlightened as he removed the golden ruby ring on his left hand. More memories surfaced Klein as he shook his head and muttered with a lingering sense of fear and amusement. Luck is really important at times. If the negative effects of the flower of blood randomly reach its peak potency, I might not be able to recognize those words and fail to be reminded. Seeing that he had mostly recovered from his wounds, he made Enzo wear flower of blood and take off green essence. Using the latter's treatments, Klein no longer felt any discomfort. He focused his attention back on the scene he saw. It was a scene of the beyonders of the fate pathway saw on him. A door of light tainted with bluish-black, countless spherical lights. Transparent and translucent maggots clumped together, symbols and patterns of the mysterious, complicated, hiding plenty of knowledge, but giving zero feedback others. What do these represent? This is a particular mythical creature from the corresponding... This is a particular mythical creature form that corresponds to the mysterious space above the Great Fog. It's one that belongs to a Sequence Zero true god. Due to the Great Fog screening, only beyonders of the Oh, because it's tied to... it's tied to luck and fate, right? Due to the Grey Fog screening, only beyonders of the fate pathway can see it directly, suffering the visual impact and corruption. Likewise, it's also because of the Grey Fog screening that those beyonders don't directly break down as though they are seeing a deity with their own eyes while also not receiving any knowledge. Klein thought for a moment and began to use divination to decipher the hidden meaning. The door of light... That's the door of light I've been using in my thumbnail. Oh, wait, in my new thumbnail that I've been using of the Great Fog, there's a door of light. Oh my god, is that what that was? I was always wondering, what the fuck is this bright ass light in the thumbnail? Oh, it's been in my thumbnail this whole time. I'm spitting. I lost my place, but it's okay. Influence, countless stacked of spherical lights and identical lights is identical to my cognition, and the latter stand for the mythical stems as described by some novels from Earth. influence my subconscious choose most. I lost my place. Let me go up. Oh no, never mind. I found my place. That secret zero full of the serum pathway. I didn't manage to see the translucent ones clearly. Let me read this sentence again. Which one? In our new thumbnail where it's just a gray fog, there's like a bright door or like a bright square light, and I was wondering, like, what is that? What is that? The distorted and transparent maggots are similar to the clumps of maggots of the gigantic. Let me read this part so I don't get lost. The distorted and transparent maggots are similar to the clumps of maggots of the gigantic throne on the main peak of the Hornicus. I fucking lost my place again. The distorted and transparent maggots are similar to the clumps of maggots on the gigantic throne of the main peak of the Hornicus mountain ridge. I'm sorry, we're on a time loop. But there are some tiny differences. That's sequence zero, the fool of the seared pathway. I didn't manage to see the translucent ones clearly. It's hard to tell. Also, the bluish black color keeps making me connected to the depths of the mysterious space that I can't reach. Back when I stood on the highest steep of the staircase of light, I could see some hints. Oh, that's the door. Oh, I could see some hints of the bluish black on the cloud like mass that condensed in midair. Klein thought about it for quite some time but failed to receive an answer. All he could do was keep at it at the back of his mind and analyze. Oh my god, I can't read. It's getting so late. And analyze it when he had more information and clues. After cleaning the scene, he took 4 steps counterclockwise and went above the gray fog. He planned on doing a thorough inspection of his physical condition and confirmed if Enzo still had any passive luck or bad luck. Bayam in the poverty district and the dilapidated house wasn't too big. Admiral Star's cat Leah was sitting behind a table looking at a door when she heard a unique knocking pattern at the door. Come on in. She didn't deliberately disguise her voice. The wooden door creaked open as the hanged man walked in, wearing a hooded black robe. Seeing his suspicious disguise, Cat Leah nudged her heavy glasses and said with a smile, "If you were to walk out like this, you would be surrounded by the members of the Church of the Storms within 5 minutes." She didn't wear any disguise because she knew that the matter of her permitting Germansburn to board the future had long spread across the seas. It wasn't difficult for the hangman to guess that Admiral Stars was Ma'am Hermit. Oh, it wasn't difficult for the hangman to guess that Admiral Stars was Ma'am Hermit. Olger didn't directly reply to her. As he closed the door, he pulled out a chair and snapped back. "It's the same for you." He meant that Admiral Stars was just second to Admiral Hell amongst the 7 pirate admirals. Furthermore, she was suspected to have deep connections to Germansborough. She was a target of pursuit by the Church of Storms and Church of Evernight. Her bounty had risen to 45,000 pounds. And no matter which city she was in, it only spelled trouble when she was recognized due to not being disguised. Cat Leah nodded slightly and turned to look at the hangman's hood face. "In front of me, such a disguise is meaningless. However, I respect your choice." She continued wearing her glasses. She also has a domineering stance and great confidence as the specter of Admiral Stars. Olger, who was wearing a mask under the hood, didn't harp on the disguise as he went straight to the point. "Thank you for providing me with assistance." Cat Leah placed her right hand on her left elbow. "I'm curious, with your present strength and the resources you have, you should be able to resolve the artisan's problem even without my help. Why are you being so excessive?" Olger was already prepared as he succinctly replied, "I do not wish to become a topic of discussion for others." Kalia seemed to grasp the meaning in between the lines. Pondering for a few seconds, she said, "I need more information." Olger nodded lightly and said, "According to my observations and guesses, the artisan is likely controlled by those who believe in the primordial moon. The latter belongs to the original faction of the southern continent, not the traitors of the life school of thought." Elias' expression remained unperturbed as she thought for a moment. "Why don't you find Mr. Moon? He should be very interested in such matters." Olger curled his lips and replied in a normal tone, "If we aren't able to resolve, I might do so." All right. Quick pause. Let me go check on my dog. I might just read one more chapter. It's really late, but I might just read one more chapter. Hold up. If I read one more chapter, we might delay tomorrow's finale by an hour or so. Hold up. Let me go get my dog. Let's see. Hold up. Quick intermediate break. Let me go check on my dog. Yeah? All right, give me 1 sec. I am going to update the chapter in the meantime, though. Just so I know. 1 sec. One hour, 25 minutes. And I think off stream, I am going to read the LSC chapter and quickly update it. One more? We're doing another one more. Shit, dude. One more was 2 chapters ago, dude. Son of a bitch. It's so late, but I'm like so interested to keep reading. Bro cannot stop himself. Fuck. But this is where I have to stop. You guys told me I can't read past 9:12. 9:13 and 9:20 is like a little mini arc before the final arc. No more than one more though. I know. This is the last one more. I know that. Hold up. Let me go get my dog. Look at this cute ass lazy dog. You fucking little lazy dog. Hi. Oh, she is so tired. Oh. Oh. Wait, just give me one more minute. Let me just hold my dog for 1 minute. She's so cute. I'm gonna read one more and then we're gonna go to bed, okay? Hey, one more chapter and we're going to bed, okay, Ellie? She's so cute. Shit, the rebellion dollar. Like, I got a little tear in my eye. She's so cute. Hi. I'm gonna read one more chapter, okay? Then we'll go to bed. Cool? Yeah, one more chapter and then we'll all go to bed, okay? Let me lock my chair. Okay. Let me try and put on my headphones. Give me a sec. This is kind of hard, I'm not gonna lie. Oh, you lazy dog. What? Oh. Oh, I love you too, Ellie. Another spectator. Alright. Alright, the true spectator is now here to read the final chapter with us. Now, let me just fix... Ellie, hold up. Let me fix my headphones. Wait. Hold up. I need to fix my headphones. Let me just pick up the cable a little bit more. Now, true spectator is here to read the last chapter for today with us. I'd roll her the other way so you guys can see her, but she likes to be in this position. Alright. Oh, this is going to be a little scuffed. We're going to read the last chapter like this. Chapter 912 is called Origins of the Artisan. Katlia understood that the Hanged Man, if the problem was too serious, they could use the moon to involve the entire Sanguine race. They could then minimize their losses in the chaos and obtain some benefits. She then smiled and said, if the situation is that serious, why not directly find the world that seems to make things simple? Which pathway would you choose for Ellie? Definitely spectator. I would choose spectator. That way I can hear her talk. Whatever Susie did to talk, that's all. That for me, that's all that matters. You know what? I'd make her the no, not the monster. I don't know. I'd make her choose the safest one. The safest pathway is what Ellie would be. She then smiled and said, you know what? I'd probably keep I'll think about it. I'd kind of like spectator. It's not dangerous, right? Sequence 9 spectator. I think that's a good point. I think then just keep her there. As long as she can talk, that's all that matters. She then smiled and said, if the situation is that serious, why not directly find the world? That seems to make things simple. Olga remained silent for a few seconds before saying, I have to prove my ability at the handling problem. Therefore, that's the final resort. After hearing his reply, Katlia immediately made some connections. The hangman placed great importance on German Sparrow's view on the way German Sparrow views him. It's because he's a blessed of Mr. Fool. Also, his attitude is rather identical to the political jokes of Backland and Trier. When facing a problem or having committed a mistake, their first reaction is to suppress the matters and find other methods to resolve. They cannot let their superior or consignor know about it. This means that the hanged man was once or is currently a member of a powerful faction with a strict hierarchy. It influenced him and made him grasp similar traits. The Church of the Storms, no such a person would be an oddity. The fleet of the King of the Five Seas now. So who really is he? Amidst her thoughts, the pirate of Admiral nudged her heavy glasses and steered the topic, continuing describing the artisan. Olgerd appeared to have prepared a script without any thought or pause. He said in an unhurried manner, to hide his artisan's identity, to prevent this resource from being wielded by others, I deliberately constructed the identity of him being part of the Church of the Steam, but in fact he had no choice but to create the item for unaffiliated beyonders to earn money to maintain his lifestyle or enjoying fine wine of beauties. He betrayed the Church of Steam and hid in Bayum. It's kind of hard doing this while holding a dog that's falling asleep in your palm. This time, he first contacted a strange disease and was monitored by an unknown person. Later, he seemed to be under control of some people who believed to be the primordial moon, claiming that he could receive new power. Katlia finished listening attentively as her eyes with a pupil tint appeared extremely focused. Oh man, this is bad. Hold up. After the hangman finished his recount, she pondered and asked, an artisan definitely has no lack of mystical items. Furthermore, they know all the combinations of different beyond effects and negative effects. The strength is definitely at sequence 5. What methods did the primordial moon believers use to control this artisan without harming him? A demigod was involved. Olger slowly shook his head. There aren't any clues regarding that, but based on my observation, the artisan has expressed some willingness. I suspect that while being threatened and coerced, there are elements of them targeting his weakness to entice him. His weakness? He had indirectly denied the theory that a demigod was involved. Katniss allotted. How did the primordial moon believers find this artisan? Based on your description, the artisan only trade. Hold up, Ellie. Based on your description, the artisan only trades with trustworthy friends he's familiar with. He doesn't enjoy widening his channels, and he can be said to be extremely cautious. Olger hesitated for a moment and said, I'm not too sure, but I have a theory. I once hoped the world sold a werewolf beyond a characteristic to the artisan, and the werewolf pathway belongs to the mutant pathway. Be it the formulas or characteristics are firmly in control of the rose school of thought. There are seldom any leaks. I have to scroll the chapter like this. Likewise, those people who believe the primordial moon is the southern continent basically belong to the Rose School of Thought. Katlia added inwardly, having figured out the hangman's theory. He suspected that the werewolf beyond a characteristic had a latent problem that involved a secret existence. This resulted in the artisan being targeted by the Rose School of Thought, and this was also the reason why the Rose School of Thought firmly wielded control over the mutant pathway formula and characteristics. Katlia said a few more questions and obtained a satisfactory answer. Finally, she asked, what is the artisan's name? What country is he from? He's from Intis. He's called Chief Sealf. He calls himself Seal. Alder replied straight away, Sealf. Katlia frowned slightly as he repeated the artisan's name softly. What's wrong with that? Okay, there's something wrong. Upon seeing this, Olger directly asked, you've heard of him. From Olger's point of view, Admiral Stars was an experienced powerhouse with a powerful background and was good at controlling herself. If she hadn't wished to discuss Sealf, she wouldn't have made it so clear, even if she had suspicions and questions. Due to this, he chose to ask without mincing his words. After a moment of silence, Katlia said, Emperor Rizal's it's his son! Emperor Rizal's eldest son is Seal. Sealf, the word for sky in French with an added F. It's very similar to that name. Without waiting for the hangman to say a word, she continued, this prince passed away due to his horror and concern shortly after the emperor's assassination. Back then, the Sauron family wished to hang or exile his descendants, but the Church of Steam chose to take them in as clergymen. Argonaut and Silent Enlightenment, you suspect that he's a descendant of that prince? It's one of his... Oh, wait, no. So he was assassinated. So he could have had a child, and then instead of just him being like Seal 2, Sealf. Okay. I have to scroll down the page like this because I'm holding my dog. Give me a sec. In most countries in the northern continent like Indus and Vasic, it was common for people to use their ancestor's name or something similar as their names. It represented the legacy of horror, of honor. Therefore, the most illustrious a family was, the more common it was to have the second or third. Of course, it was also very common for two people to have similar names, but Artisan Chilf wasn't only a name. He was from the Church of Steam, a person from Intis, and had reached the level of an artisan. Faced with the hangman's question, Catlia nodded gently. I can quickly make a confirmation if ye can attain his blood. Understanding the reason, Olger then asked further. Instead, he asked, are you going to take action now? I can provide support. Catlia's glasses reflected the crimson moonlight as she shone inwardly. No, I plan on observing for some time. At the very least, we need to understand why the people who believe in the primordial moon are trying to control Artisan Sealf. If they only wish to get the artisan to work for them and create a mythical item, the situation becoming a lot more simple. And if they have other goals, the problem might be more complicated than we imagine. We will need to make more preparations, as expected. The Admiral Stars. Olger nodded and said, I can't stay in Bayam for too long, or else I'll incur suspicion. If you need my assistance, it needs to be fast. After receiving confirmation from her, the hangman slowly got up and pulled up his hood before leaving the room. Having learned where the artisan Chiolf was presently living, Catlia removed her heavy glasses and pinched her glabella. Clapping, she said, Heath, come in. Let me scroll the page. Look how sleepy Ellie is. She is so tired. She just wants to go to bed. Like, see, the same sound as the beginning of Ellie. Seal. Like C. And the same sound as the beginning of Ellie. Oh, seal. And you had an F sound. Sealf? Sealf. Oh, seal. So, seal and then sealf. Okay, I got it. In the shadows of the door gap, the darkness suddenly stirred as a thin, tall, but pale figure appeared. His nose bridge was ridiculously high, and his facial skin was nearly transparent. Looking ill, he was none other than the second mate of the future, Rose Bishop Heath Doyle. Catlia looked at him and said, the actual situation is, I'll leave the rest to you. Yes, Captain. Heath Doyle simply replied before shrinking back into the shadows. Catlia raised her right hand and paused for a few seconds. Stay away from Frank for the time being. He had reached a standstill in the mushroom experiment. I'm afraid that he will come up with new ideas. The location of my second marionette. Klein held two branches that he repeatedly chanted without seeing them move. This means a divination failure. You want to be on the other side? Like, she's so used to being this side, so she turned around. Good enough? I said it wrong? The location of my second marionette. Klein held two branches as repeatedly chanted without seeing them move. Hey. Hi. Give me a sec. Oh, you want to get down? No, it's okay. Here, it's... Oh, wait. Here. Don't worry, we're going to sleep right now. You chill right there. The location of my second marionette. Klein held two branches that repeatedly chanted without seeing them move. This meant the divination failure of the Colian city didn't have a second marionette that suited him well. From the looks of it, of the mystical methods, the mysticism, oh my god, mysticism. Here's the way to say it. Okay, we'll look at it right now. I got you. We got like a page and a half. Oh, here, we only have like a page left. The mysticism methods are temporarily useless. I'll pack up tomorrow and leave. Klein mumbled and threw the branches into the trash can. Standing beside him was Enzo. Although he didn't dare to directly look at his master and was only looking at the ground, he skillfully made a cup of black tea and offered it to Klein. Compared to before, this winter now had red skin that was nearly peeled due to sunburns. After all of this turned from the better, he would have a swathery tan. To this, oh, this is a long page. All right, last page, and then we're done with the chapter. To disguise his new marionette and preserve the rose school of thought from recognizing him, Klein had... Ellie, please be quiet. It's way too late. No, it's time for bed. No, what do you mean? What do you mean, Earth? No, it's time for bed. No. No. bedtime. No, don't give me that look. It's time to sleep. No. Don't look at me like that. What do you think you are? It's time to go to bed. Ow. Just let me finish the chapter. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. Oh, man. It be that way. Let me reread that again. Let's reread this part again. Let's take it back. To disguise his new marionette and prevent the rose skull thought from recognizing him, Klein had brought this gentleman on a trip to the beach, which received some strong sunlight. He was then exposed to the sunlight for prolonged periods of time. Meanwhile, he controlled his marionette to shave off most of his hair, leaving a thin layer. With the trimming of his brows, contouring his face with powder, and wearing shades, Enzo seemed to transform into another person. Even the most familiar friends of his might find it difficult to recognize him unless the person was faceless. Apart from the disguise in the real world, she's sniffing my mic. Klein also did some mysticism management. Firstly, he used Paper Angel's embrace, and second, he carried a Zig's copper whistle along with it. In addition, he also determined that the winner passive luck and calamity trait was ineffective. However, he had no idea of it because of its status as a marionette, or if it was due to the gray fog. Receiving the tea and taking a sip, Klein cast his gaze at the map of East and West Ballum on the coffee table. He considered where he could find his second marionette. She wants to be part of the stream too? Yeah, no, she wants to join the stream. At this moment, the colors around him suddenly saturated as though an artist had contoured the area with paint. Right on the heel of that, a figure appeared beside Enzo. He was wearing a silk top hat and a black suit. With a medium build, he had a Zig, bronze skin. He had bronze skin and eyes that seemed to see the viscountries of life. He had soft facial features, and beneath the right eyes were a tiny black mole. It's a Zig. He was none other than Zig Eggers. Mr. Zig is finally here. Klein was first delighted before he noticed that he had appeared beside his marionette. This made an amusing scene surface in his mind. Shh. Ellie, hey, stop. It's bedtime. No, we gotta go to bed. Mr. Zig, who had relied on his copper whistle to locate him, had done the same as he usually did. Grabbing the copper whistle's wielder by the shoulder, he had left using the spirit world the moment he appeared, and all that Klein could do was watch helplessly, trying to stop him with outstretched arms. But being a tad bit slow, he couldn't help but clam up. Zig appeared more reticent than before. Looking at Klein, who had a new face, he asked, "Are you ready?" Ready for what? I'm sorry, what did I miss? Ready for what? Okay, timestamp. Fuck. How am I supposed to sleep? I fucking hate cliffhangers because then I can't sleep, man. It pisses me off. Fuck. Ah, shit. Fuck. Dude, thank you for subscribing, man. Holy shit. We're about to hit 3,500. You'll know tomorrow. Fuck. Shit. Alright. We do this to Wiz too? Son of a bitch. Hold up, man. I hate stopping on cliffhangers before I have to go to bed, man. I can't sleep. Bro gets hit by the cliffhanger 24/7. Shit, man. It's going to be so hard to go to bed now. I'm so screwed. I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight because I might want to read. Ellie, why are you barking? It's time for bed. Okay. He said, "Are you ready?" I feel like I'm wearing the ring and I'm dumb now. I don't know what he'd be ready for. I don't even know what hints led to. Are you ready? So I assume we're going to get more on his past. It's called The Undying. Sequence 3 is called Ferryman, so he might be a ferryman. How many chapters do we have? 9-10 would have been the best. 9 and 11 was in the middle of something, and now 9-12 is this. Tomorrow, we're going to be reading 913 Klein's preparatory work until 943. So this makes it hype for tomorrow. Oh my god. We have 31 chapters tomorrow. It is going to be a long day. 920, 946 is the last chapter of volume 4. Bro, we're reading until 946 tomorrow, guys. We're finishing this bitch tomorrow. 12 hours from now. It's going to be our biggest stream. Ready for John Cena to fight against The Undertaker this weekend? Yo, I'm pumped for that. Either read till 9:32 tomorrow or 9:46. Bro, we're reading it all. We're gonna pull the band-aid. We're gonna do it all tomorrow. I think, you know what? No, hold up. 9:32 is gonna be the halfway point. We're gonna take a little lunch break once we get there. Hey, stop. Go to bed. Go to your bed. It's bedtime. No, go sleep. This is the only time I'll be strict. Go to bed. It's late. It's way too late, Ellie. We gotta go to bed. I'm staying up late, and now you're staying up late. No, we gotta go to bed. This is bad. All right. If you read, make sure to announce it. Build a hype. We're doing our announcement right now. From this live stream, exactly 12 hours from now, we're reading the finale. By the time this video up, it's probably gonna take like 2 to 3 hours. I'm gonna have the video go public while I'm asleep. So if you're watching this video the second it goes live, 6 to 8 hours, and we'll be live for the finale. Oh my God, Ellie is like weeping. What? Ellie, you gotta go to bed. Stop. Hey, it's time for bed. I hope you guys are ready. Oh my God, Ellie. Ellie. Look at her. This is what she does. Oh, you guys can't see her. This is what she does. She likes to roll over. Hey, come on. We're going to bed. Stop. It's bedtime. Alright, guys. Wiz shall fear. He shall fear that his competitor is going to be 100 chapters behind tomorrow. Is it going to cook? Alright. I'm going to end stream right now. And we're scheduling stream tomorrow. Exactly 12 hours or so from now. We will be live. Be here or be square. Peace. Oh man, I'm pumped. I'm pumped. Ellie's excited too. She's just very sleepy, but look, she's excited. Look at her. I'm so excited. Are you ready? What? Are you mad at me? She's mad at me. She moved away. She's mad at me. She's turning away from me. She's mad I told her no. Yeah, you don't like it when I'm mean, huh? No, it is our bedtime. I will take you out to go to the bathroom, but then we're going to bed. Alright, guys. The betrayal? I feel betrayed. Oh, look. Y'all be honest. She's moody when she's sleepy. Okay, the video ends when she closes her eyes. The video on the live stream just randomly cuts when she closes her eyes, okay? Hey. There's gonna be a long outro. Give me a minute. I love my dog. She's so cute. Her face be like, fucking leave me alone, dude. Look at her. Hi, you little sleepy head. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. I'll just end it right now. It's gonna take her a while to go to bed. Later, guys.